The novel with a rating of 19 plus was really mediocre because everyone around the main character was like vegetables. The man turns to Mrs. Valentine and says that the escape is over. The girl objects and says that she does not want to go back. The knight claims that this resistance is futile. The gentleman claims that he will raise his wife himself and then turns to Selina and asks her to tell him what punishment he should come up with for his wife who ran away, not wanting to give birth to his child. The girl looked at the Archduke and shrugged her shoulders. Unable to utter a word of protest, he orders her to be seated in the carriage. And Balkail says that it is better not to do anything that could cause inconvenience to the Archduke and the lady. The main character, reading the novel, thinks that it is just some kind of nonsense. She thinks that she bought it to relieve stress before listening, but she even got more tense. The lady thought that these vegetables were disappointing because she bought it because of the beautiful cover, but she regretted it. Suddenly, the girl is grabbed by the hair and told that they will finish her off. At this point, the main character who read the novel realized that she had become that same Selina Croft who tried to avoid the main character and created a harem. Big Sister grabs the girl by the hair and calls her crazy. She asks how dare they take away her invitation because she thinks her speech is terrible and asks what she should do at such an event. Crawford's second daughter, Shannon Barry, screams and tells her sister not to show her face and not to leave the room. Then, as she leaves, she says that she doesn't even answer and calls her a bitch. At this time, the maid approaches the mistress and asks how it was possible to do this to her beautiful hair, and also asks if the lady is in pain. The main character thought that she was shocked that she was grabbed by the hair as soon as she refused in this body. And there was a more serious problem because this is the same mediocre novel. In the novel, Selina lost her parents and was abused as a child and was then forced into marriage. The main character does not understand why she got into this nonsense if she thinks that this could be a punishment for a bad review. She does not understand who would want to participate in this debauchery. When the girl looked at herself in the mirror, she thought that she was an incredible beauty, because she had never seen such faces in real life, even when she was an actress. She realized that she was the main character of this novel. The lady remembers that she was an extra for many years and thinks that even though it is obscene, since she is the main character, she became interested in whether everything will be okay. The mistress asks the maid if she is beautiful today, and the maid looks at her in surprise. The girl asks what is the matter. Penny says that the lady stopped stuttering. Hearing this, the lady remembered that in the original she stuttered because after the death of her father, the stepmother mocked her. The maid asks to say one more word to the lady. And seeing these emotions, she remembers that the only maid of the main character, Penny, was the one who could not be bribed for a few coins, and all the others brazenly sold Selina. The person who arranged this forced marriage was the mother. She once asked the girl if she knew how much the Archduke had paid to take her. The stepmother says that therefore she should go and entertain him because she will have fun. Camilla's stepmother, who was a villain, complimented the main character. When the main character realized all this, she screamed. The maid asks in surprise if the mistress is okay. The lady thought that she was worrying too much for a reason. Selina spent the money she had in the first part to buy poison. At dawn, the main character drank poison to die. However, Penny quietly replaced the poison with a sleeping pill. The next day, the lady says she is fine and asks if the maid has replaced her medication with something else. Penny says in surprise that she had no choice and then remembers his late father and says that for his sake, she didn't let her do it. Selina tells the maid that she actually thinks her memory is a little blurry because of that sleeping pill. And the maid insists that it was definitely sleeping pill. The lady asks what this invitation is that Shannon was talking about. She replies that it was an invitation to a banquet in honor of the Empress's birthday and that she received the invitation quite naturally, but Mrs. Shannon is very angry. Hearing this, the main character remembered that the imperial banquet was like in the original. And at the age of 18, at her first banquet, Selina first meets the main character's bastard. His actions haunt her, because the deprivation of freedom, attacks, and kidnapping are the main ones that turn Roman into a red slaughterhouse. The girl thinks that the main character is a scumbag who deserves to die. She understands that if you want to hit the jackpot, you have to avoid him at all costs. The mistress tells the maid to prepare the carriage because she must buy a dress for the banquet. Penny, surprised, finally asks if she wants to go somewhere. Hearing this, the main character thought that it was because she was not Selina, and it became interesting whether she could then be called insidious. The main character thought about attending this banquet and believes that everything will be fine if she stays away from the main character. Archduke Valentine is the greatest bastard of all time. Balkail Karstark is the man who imprisoned and tortured Selina, and the girl thought that she would definitely avoid them and she would manage her own life. When the lady left the store, she told the salesman that he would receive the money tomorrow. And when people saw her on the street, they were surprised and said that it was Milady Crawford. They knew that she had not left the house for 7 years and that she looked like an angel. Sitting in the carriage, the main character thought that she was like an angel and her only weapon was her face. Penny asked the lady what she was thinking about. At that time, she thought that if this continues, she will suffer and will be sold to the main character, and then says that she realized that she has no one except Penny. The lady asks the maid what she has in her hand. She replies that it is a receipt for the dress and jewelry she bought today, and the second is just a leaflet and suggests not to worry. The girl looked at the leaflet and thought that this guy might be from the monastery. When the maid woke up her mistress the next morning, she asked her not to be afraid because her dress that she bought was torn to pieces. The lady says in surprise that it was bought after much thought and then asks how that could be. Penny says she's sure Mistress Shannon made Emma tear it up and thinks it was because she didn't get an invitation to the imperial banquet. At this time, the main character thought that this was a warning, and today it was a dress, and next time it would be her, Selina. The maid suggests to the mistress not to worry, since the captain has returned and it will be quiet for a while. Hearing this, the lady asks in surprise if her uncle has returned and then says that this is wonderful, and now she will scream and therefore suggests getting ready. The maid says that it is early morning and thinks that everyone is probably still asleep, but the mistress objects and says that they are already awake and then starts screaming. The main character knows that Cedric gets up before dawn. In the family of Count Crawford, belonging to the elite of the highest nobility, there have never been any military men. Only Cedric Crawford is the captain of the Knights of the White Falcon. He is a great man who lays down a knightly order that is among the 5 strongest in the empire. The man asks the girl what's going on, and at that time she thought that he would be a typical boring old man, but he really is more handsome than she thought. Cedric asks if she has proof that Shannon tore her dress. Penny says she has no proof, but she is almost certain it was Mrs. Shannon, and then says it only happened to Mrs. Selina. The gentleman says there is no evidence and then asks if it is just hysteria. He claims it was not worth such attention, and then says that the next captain of the order. The man with dark hair says that he is sorry. The lady looked at William and thought that he looks like a handsome husky, but knows that Selina has little contact with him. The main character understands that they have been in the same house all this time, and this is probably the first time they have met face to face. William says that it is his fault that he did not notice this problem in time, and then says that he is not a servant and he cannot control what happens in the bedrooms. Selina heard his voice and thought about how gentle his tone was. The uncle, addressing the girl, said that in any case it was a pity that it happened this way, and then said that they had not seen each other for a long time, so he decided to visit her. Hearing this, the little girl doesn't understand what the hell is going on with this guy, because in the original he didn't even say hello. She says that she's not just glad that he's back, and at this time doesn't understand whether she's gone too far. And she says that she hasn't seen him for so long. The gentleman says that he is glad to see that she is getting better, and he is happy for her. At this time, Shannon flies into the room and then claims that it is unfair and asks if she tore Selina's dress. The maid Emma says that Mistress Shannon would never do such a thing. The second daughter says that she just yesterday copied her sister's invitation and wished her a good time. The maid says that the mistress spoke correctly and then says that she will surely disgrace the whole family. Selina asks why, because she thinks it's too much, because she hasn't done anything wrong. Shannon asks if her uncle will still recognize her as her own blood. Cedric suggests the girl to calm down. And at this time, the main character thought that this was a shame because she hated this man for this, because he was simply too honest and fair. The lady understands that due to his influence, Selina, at Shannon's behest, lost her parents, authority, and soon her inheritance. Her sister suggested that she understand that she would never become a real woman because she believed that she would simply be bought, and as soon as she got boring, she would be thrown out. She claimed that she would simply be abandoned and no one would help her if she returned. The main character thought that the uncle would also die, and the last thing she wants is to be poisoned by Camilla. Cedric turns to Selina and asks if it's too much trouble for her, and then offers to buy her another new dress. Hearing this, the girl thought about what else she could expect from this trash, because she understands that she'll have to figure it out herself. The girl says that at such moments she regrets that her mother is not around. The uncle asks if Lady Camilla is in the castle. The lady replies that her mother went hunting for her butler and has not returned yet. The main character's stepmother, Camilla Crawford, was a cunning woman. Cedric asks in surprise how often this happens. William explains that the lady usually spends half a month in the hunting grounds. The gentleman asks how this can be, and how a representative of the aristocracy can hunt while there is a conflict on the borders. Selena asks her uncle not to be angry with her mother and Shannon because she believes that it is all her fault. The girl says that it is her fault that Shannon did not receive an invitation, and she, as the older sister, should have understood this, but she immediately went to buy a dress. Hearing this, Shannon is surprised and asks what she is saying. And the main character says that she will accept the punishment and spend a month in a monastery, and then begins to cry. The girl says that there are always not enough people in the monasteries without, and asks if she is right. And then she claims that Shannon should also be fairly tested. The main character believes that they are standing in her way, and therefore they must fight among themselves. Cedric says he thinks it's fair to take her word for it, and then tells her to go to the monastery for a month. Penny turns to the mistress and thanks her for promoting her to personal maid. Selena tells the maid that she cured the count's daughter of her stutter and therefore thinks that it was not difficult to convince her uncle. And at that time, she thinks that in the end, she cannot keep her only ally as an ordinary maid. Penny swears to the lady to always be faithful to her because she is very happy because her lady has become the same again. Hearing this, the main character thought about whether she was a little more cheerful because she believes that being shy and stuttering is not a crime. The mistress tells the maid to listen to her and then says that when her mother returns from hunting, she will call her. Penny says that she will then say that she knows nothing. Selena says that because she always says that, she is always beaten harder, but this time she asks her to tell the truth. Hearing this, the maid was surprised, and the lady says that that's why she wants her to embellish it a little and say the following, and then whispers in her ear for her to say that even when they are alone, she still stutters. The main character, when leaving, tells the maid to act like she has a cold in front of her uncle, because she thinks that they shouldn't live in the outbuilding where it's as cold as Siberia. The maid asks what Siberia is and also wonders if this is an insult. Shannon asks the lady if she is crazy because she can't believe that her sister is going to a monastery alone. However, the girl does not answer her stupid words, and Shannon asks if she really took drugs. The stepsister claims that for a person who stuttered so badly, medicine was needed to cure her, and thinks that it seems like she became very arrogant after she beat her. The maid suggests that the lady not pay attention, and suggests that they go as they are wasting time. Shannon screams and reminds her that she said to stop and then says that she is a little fool who doesn't even know how to talk properly. Celine says that she has something to say, and then says that her designer is coming to collect payment for the dress, and asks if she can take care of it, because she thinks that she tore her dress and asks if this is true. The girl says that she didn't do that, and then asks how she dares to approach her and says that she will push her down. When Shannon extended her hand, the main character slapped her hand away and said that she didn't act like a child while she was gone. Shannon asks in surprise what she is planning and also wonders what she has hidden in the monastery. At this time, the main character thought that she was wondering what she had hidden and thought that it might be her faithful dog. The maid turns to the knights and asks them to save her and says that they are just servants and they have nothing to do with the Grand Duke. The knight suggests listening carefully because the Grand Duke is angry because of the lady she serves. He orders Shannon Barry to be found, who kidnapped Madame Valentine. And then he says that if Shannon doesn't die, everyone will die instead of her. The knight turns to the girl and says that she is Lady Shannon and then asks if she has been hiding there all this time. He says that he has come to take her and offers to run away from there. The lady screams and tells him to let her go because she understands that he is just a nameless slave gladiator, and then asks how dare he touch her. The knight asks to be patient a little longer, since they must first cross the border and then run to the duchy itself. Shannon says that even if he takes her to enemy lands, she will not die and will remain in this place, in this castle, where she belongs. The man tells the lady that this castle, this family name, and even the Grand Duke, and all of this did not belong to her to begin with. He tells her that before he became a slave gladiator, he was a man from the Duchy of Kastak, and even if this country is her enemy, he can save her. The knight took off his shield and said that his name was Valhall, Kastak. The main character realizes that this was the last time they saw Shannon in the original novel, and she does not understand how the author could give such an open ending to the villain, Shannon, and therefore thinks that it is not surprising that she did not finish reading and simply stopped reading. Lady remembers that because of Valhall, Selena suffered a lot and abduction, torture, imprisonment, which she should avoid. And this is what she thought initially. Selena knows that when Shannon ordered him, he was a man who would get any task done. She thought about finding him first and using him, The priest asks if she is Lady Crawford and says that she is probably tired since the intern must help with the management of the farm and also help with the preparations for the tournament. The girl says that everything is fine, and at that time she thought that in the end this is her plan to find Valhale while he is still a gladiator slave. However, the main character does not understand how she will find him. The priest says that this man is a monster and then suggests going quickly because the audience is waiting. The man says that if he wins 2 more battles, who will win the tournament? The lady asks if this means that if he wins the tournament, he will be accepted into the Order of the Holy Knights. However, she wonders what will happen if he loses. The priest says that he thinks he will die then. The main character believes that it doesn't matter because it's obvious that Valhale will be the winner. The man says that not everyone dies and then says that if the applicant survives, then they believe that God has shown mercy to him, and then he will be able to ask the high priest for his wish. The young lady looked at the guy and did not understand how he could win with such wounds on his body, and she wondered if he would be able to live a normal life at all. However, the main character thinks that there is no point in feeling sorry for him since she cannot help. Suddenly, the girl saw mana crystals and thought that thanks to them, priests can heal people, but when helping a patient, they can still be destroyed. Selena wondered if it would be better if she asked the high priest for treatment. And then she called the priest. The man asks who she is. The girl replies that she is Selena's intern and then shows the crystal and says that he dropped it. High Priest Franz Blackwood says in surprise that this is incredible because the miss has spiritual powers. Hearing this, the lady is surprised, and he says that this is evident from the fact that the mana crystal changes its hue to purple when touched by her. Franz says that he will keep it a secret from the others because he knows that if the temple finds out that she has spiritual powers, they will force her to become a priestess. The lady asks in surprise why it should be a secret and then asks if he wants her to join the temple. The high priest replies that this is not the case, and then explains that it is for her sake because priests cannot eat meat and they are not even allowed to eat chicken. Hearing this, the main character thought that the number of places where she could escape became smaller again because she believes that no chicken, no life. However, the girl does not understand why the mana crystal does not react to the priest Franz. She asks if it could be that he stole this crystal. Franz is surprised and asks what she is saying. And the lady asks why he is stuttering then. The man claims that the miss is teasing the high priest and then says that it is a crime. Hearing this, she thinks that maybe she should be friends with him. Selena thought that the reason she came to the monastery was to find allies and then offered to negotiate with the priest. The girl says that there are 3 things that she wants to get. Firstly, a mana crystal. Secondly, some painkillers. And lastly, to promise her that even when she returns to the Count's castle, he will visit her. Franz asks what Lady Selena will promise him then. She says that she has a mine in which there are many mana crystals, and she got it from her late mother, and even her uncle doesn't know anything. The main character thought that now she is in the hands of her stepmother, but still hers, and therefore it is not entirely a lie. The high priest asks if it is possible that she wants to buy him for money. Having heard this, the girl thought that he had gone crazy and then says that she will go to the capital with the Knights of the White Eagle and asks if it is difficult to be a priest without having spiritual powers. Selena asks if it would be better to live in the capital in order to remain the high priest, and then asks to go to the capital together. Franz agrees and says that she said that she first needed a mana crystal and then pain medicine, and asks if that is true. He says that he can provide it to her and asks where she plans to use it. A few hours later, when the main character saw the wounded guy, she couldn't believe that they left him alone in such a state, and she didn't understand how she could close her eyes to this because she knew that even among other patients, his injuries were the most severe. When the guy opened his eyes and saw her, he told her to leave. The girl says that before they continue, she suggests that he put down the sword. She asks how much longer he will hold on to it and then touches his hand and says that she knows that he is in pain, and that is why she came all this way to help. At this time, the main character thought that he would refuse because he didn't even know what kind of medicine it was, but he still obediently took it. Selena suggests the guy to be patient because she knows that he will soon feel better. She thought that everything will be fine, and if you believe the original novel, suddenly the guy grabs her hand, and at that time the lady thought that he was a slave gladiator, and she is sure that he equally dislikes both nobles and priests. And she does not understand why she realized this only now. The girl looked into his eyes and thought that he could finish her off right now. However, the guy asks to finish him off. The lady felt him squeeze her hands tightly and asked him to let them go, and then said that she had never killed anyone before, and therefore could not. Valhale says that he cannot help her escape because he believes that there is no chance that he will understand how she feels. And the girl claims that he cannot die like that. She asks him to simply hold out for 2 more battles. The main character claims that if he takes at least second place, then, as she heard, she will be able to ask for his wish to be fulfilled and believes that then perhaps he will become free again. The guy touched her lips, and when she looked at him, she realized that he was quite handsome. Suddenly, the main character felt dizzy and she doesn't understand what's going on. The lady heard her name being called and said that she must run. Valkael grabs the girl's hand and asks her not to leave. She pushes his hand away and says she will return. Franz tells Miss that he is a very dangerous man. She asks if he is a criminal. The high priest answers that he is not, and then tells Miss that he thinks something has happened at her home and tells her that she has received a letter from the Count's castle. The girl asks in surprise if he was looking for her personally, only because of this. And at that time, she thought that this was a trifle, and then asks if it was because of the monocrystal. Selena says that she took the crystal and asks if he decided to follow her. The guy assures that of course it is not so, and then says that besides that, he is teasing her. The main character asks if their relationship is contractual and therefore believes that they should be aware of each other's affairs. Franz says that this was not part of his plans, and the girl became interested in who sent this letter, and when she unpacked it, she saw that it said Eddie from the Count's castle. The main character does not know if there was someone with that name in the original novel, and remembers that it should be Eddie from the Earl of Crawford's castle, and also suggests that it could be Adrian Barry, Camilla's son. Miss says that she will go, and going down the stairs, she thought that she would better read it when she is alone. The girl understands that when she saw this name, she immediately thought of him because Barry is a surname given to illegitimate children in the south of the country. The main character knows that since they were her children, Camilla always loved them more, and every time she started a conversation with Adrian and her stepmother, harshly beat Selena. The girl recalls that the Duke, according to the original novel, reassured her because he believed that she was there to marry him. The man turns to the Duke and says that someone is catching up with the carriage. When Selena saw the guy, she was surprised, and he said that he came to save her and then said that he loves her. Hearing this, the Duke killed Adrian right there. The lady understands that he was an extra who died such a tragic death, and she does not understand how he sends her a letter. The letter said that he wanted to see her and asked for forgiveness. After reading this, the main character understands that this guy is very suspicious because she does not understand why he sends such a letter to his sister. Selena thinks that everything will be fine as long as she avoids the main character, but she has a feeling that she shouldn't get involved with her brother because he is the younger brother who is ready to die for his sister from another mother because he loves her. The lady understands that he cannot possibly be normal with such a backstory. The man tells the captain that it looks like the lady has not returned and also wonders what to do. Cedric offers to send a message to the hunting grounds and then says that if she does not return by tomorrow, then he will go to her personally. At this time, the maids say that she hunted for a whole month but still didn't catch anything. And another maid says that it's not worth it. Camilla suggests Cedric listen to her because she thinks it's a misunderstanding. He asks in surprise if Madame hasn't left the estate for a month, and also wonders if she has forgotten that they are in the border area. The woman claims that he is too worried because she believes that if there were any problems with this, she has no doubt that her family would do nothing. Camilla tells the man that she hasn't seen him for a long time and thinks that his beautiful face has become rougher, and then claims that it must be hard for him without a woman who could take care of him. The lady says that as a rule in the capital, if a woman becomes a widow, the younger brother of the deceased marries her to continue the family line. Cedric says that this is shameless and disgraceful, and she, surprised, asks if he will marry her and also wonders how long he plans to remain a bachelor. Camilla suggests that he think carefully because she believes that only married men get titles. At this time, the guy thought that she does not change, and it is not surprising that she was married to his brother. Cedric believes that Jean must have lived in this estate. The guy remembers that Selena's own mother asked him not to leave because she would talk to his father and beg him to release him from military service. Cedric was 15 years old then, and Jean asked him to go to the capital and not leave her alone. The girl says that she never told him, but she would like to. When Cedric returned from the war years later, Jean had already died in a carriage accident, and his older brother, who had married Jean just before he left, had already remarried the Duke of Maple's second daughter, Camilla. The guy thought about how he was sure that he remarried only because of the Duke of Maple's standing, and also thought about how if he could only turn back time, he would return to the moment when he wanted to propose to Jeanne, but did not because he was afraid to leave her a widow. Cedric thought that if he could fulfill his wish, then Selena would be his daughter. Shannon asks her mom how the hunt went. The woman says she heard her daughter tore her dress and then screams and asks if she knows Cedric is here. Camilla asks how many times she told her to be more careful when he was home, and the girl assures that she did not do that. Mom says that means her maid did it and asks if she can't handle her own servants. Emma tells Madame that Lady Selina is to blame for everything, and then claims that this girl has completely changed and she flirted with the captain and dressed Penny as a maid. Camilla asks in surprise if Selina did it. Emma asks how she can make a farmer's daughter her personal maid. Then she says that she is so worried about the rumors that are spread about her. The maid asks how they can hold their heads up high in such a situation. Hearing this, the mistress does not understand who she thinks she is. Shannon says that she thinks that someone has possessed Selina because she no longer stutters and even humiliated her. The mistress asks if she speaks normally and humiliates others. And the daughter says that she even ran away to a monastery and therefore is afraid that she can weave intrigues against them. Camilla suggests calling Penny into her room in that case. The maid fell to the floor and begs Madame to spare her. Emma hits her and tells her to shut up and then asks if she thinks anyone will come to save her just because she will be screaming for help. The lady says she is just wondering what is wrong with her daughter as she heard that Selina has become quite cheerful. Penny objects and says that this is not true, and then says that it is all because she took sleeping pills and believes that because of them she was acting out of character. The maid claims that she hasn't changed at all, and when they are alone, she still cries and stutters like a fool. The lady says she knew it. And Penny says she didn't want to go to the monastery. The woman says she understands and then asks about the dress. Camilla wonders if she tore the dress that Selina bought. Hearing this, the maid thought that the mistress was trying to blame her for everything. When the maid saw Celine off, the lady told her that she suspected that they were going to set her up. Penny, surprised, asks if they would really go that far. The main character says that maybe not. But just in case, she suggests doing as she tells her, and to make sure that she took this button with her, and then says that if they suspect her, let them show it to them. Penny offers Madame a look at the button and tells her that she found it on the floor that day. The woman asks if she told Cedric about it. The maid says that of course she didn't say anything because she was afraid that this could cause chaos and therefore didn't tell anyone. Camilla took the button and said that then that was all and she could go. The woman grabs her daughter by the hair and asks why she lied. When Penny left the room, she thought that at least this time she didn't get it that bad. William claims that she speaks as if she is beaten every day. Upon hearing this, the maid is surprised, and then says that this is so because she really is beaten every day. The maid says that now she can tell him because her lady told her to ask Sir Spencer for help if anything happens. The maid explains that Madame usually locks her on the first floor of the outbuilding or in a dog cage, and if it is an outbuilding, it is very, very cold there, and therefore asks to come and save her as soon as possible. William says he thinks their lady likes the cool. Penny asks if he thinks she likes being in the outbuilding and then says she's sad to hear that, because she thinks it's easier to reason with a log than to get through to him. Hearing this, the guy thought about whether their lady had asked to live in the outbuilding because she was shy. The maid says it's sad to hear that he thought she was beaten not long ago and then says that it doesn't mean she wants her lady to be beaten instead. And then says that her mistress has soft skin, so when she is beaten, it takes at least 2 months for the wounds to heal. Penny is told that the last time she was beaten, she fainted. The man claims that he will then speak to the captain and says that it seems the young lady needs a personal night. At this time, the men watching the girl say that they think Lady Crawford is worried about something, and one of them believes that she is worried about the gladiators' slaves. The main character hopes that Valhale is still alive, and she thinks that he will win in any case. The candidate for the winner of Berserk is a fire moth and a raven, and they all have dark hair. Raven is a former soldier, and he likes to bite people as if he were a predatory animal. And the girl's mind tells her that the latter is the least likely. The main character thought that she was most worried about the man in the isolation ward because he was badly injured, and that's why she was worried. But it should be noted that despite his approach, he was quite obedient, and to be honest, she was drawn to his handsome face. Looking at the other supporting characters, this nameless hottie can't be just an extra. Just like Selina with her unearthly beauty is the main character of the story. The girl realizes that this is the second time she goes to the isolation ward to treat him, and she doesn't understand if it was always so dark here. She remembers that last time she was there at dawn and didn't notice that there were no windows in the isolation ward. Selina believes that this man does not notice the change of day and night, and he is always in the dark. She thought that next time she would bring a lamp, but one way or another she does not feel his presence. Suddenly, the lady realized that someone grabbed her and saw the guy's hand on her chest, and then she pushes him and says that she thinks he's better because he's walking quite easily. The lady understands that her treatment is going well, but now that he is finally in himself, he scares her. The guy asks who she is. The girl says that she is not a Templar and that she is an intern. The young man asks if that means that the high priest sent her, and then tells her to tell her that he will not join anything. At this time, the main character became interested in whether he meant the knightly order, and she thinks that he speaks as if he can win the tournament at any moment. The lady thought that since he was in the isolation ward, he didn't know about the abilities of the Raven and the Fire Moth, because these two were super creepy, especially the Raven. The young lady muses that she must warn him that he must not underestimate them, or he may die, and then offers to take at least second place because she believes that at least this way he can win his freedom. Valhale asks what she is saying in surprise. Celine asks if he has forgotten and then reminds him that she explained everything last time. The girl says that she asked him to survive at any cost and wants him to be free again. The main character tells him to sit down and then takes the medicine and says it's for the pain. She thought about how she's too scared to touch him when he's in a normal state and then asks him to drink it. Selena thought about his mouth being open, but it was too dark for her to see. She wondered how much effort it took to take care of him, but she knew it was nothing compared to her Tori. The girl thought that she was just glad that she was able to touch him at all and then apologized and said that she compared him to a dog because they say that the louder a dog barks, the less it bites. The lady thinks that since his Adam's apple is moving, he is drinking correctly, and then asks for another drink. The main character thought that this was her chance, and while he was calm, she would heal him and then leave. The girl prayed for the bleeding to stop and for the wound to be healed. Selena realizes that she can't see and therefore can't tell how much she has healed this wound. She felt that her throat was burning and she couldn't take it anymore, and she really wanted to drink water. But when she was about to go, the guy grabbed her hand and asked her not to leave and stay with him. At this time, the main character thought that she must have gone crazy and then left the guy. He does not understand why he has such a familiar feeling because he thinks that he has already done this. On the day of the tournament, the girl asks Selena if she is sick, and then asks if she is okay. The main character replies that everything is fine, and at that time she thought that she did not even imagine that she would be bedridden for 2 days after this healing. The silver-haired girl says that they were discussing the semi-finalists and then asks who they think will win, Berserker or Fire Moth. The girl with green hair says that the Berserker is so handsome, and Jenna says that she heard that he is a prisoner of the defeated kingdom, and she is interested in what crime he committed. The girl with green hair says that she heard that he was already a prisoner when he came here. He was a prisoner for over 5 years, so she is sure that he is already out of his mind. She also heard that he may have been experimented on. Celine asks the girls who will win. The lady with green hair says that she thinks that the Berserker will win because she heard that he has fully recovered. Jenna says that she still wonders that maybe he is not human, and she wondered if he can wield black magic. At this time, the main character thought that they were definitely wrong because she knew that it was because of her. And therefore, she believed that perhaps because of her intervention, the winner would change. But this was not part of her plans. She simply could not pass by the dying man. Among the semi-finalists, only the Fire Moth, Raven, and Berserker remained. She believes that none of them are suitable for Shannon's retinue. When the lady came to the dungeon, she thought that it was very quiet there, and she wondered if he had finally cast aside his hostility, and she noticed that there was no sword. Suddenly, the main character saw a broken sword and thought that maybe this was his way of fighting because he refused to take medicine. Celine turns to the guy and says that she thinks he is no longer in pain, and he claims that it is thanks to someone. The lady asks if he doesn't know that tomorrow he has to win, and then says that it is the semifinals. The main character looked at the guy and thought that it seemed he was almost completely healed, and she wondered if he still needed to be treated. She realized that she had accidentally stroked him. Valhale asks if she is an aristocrat who bet on him, and the girl replies that as she said, she is just an intern. He asks what kind of intern will heal a slave with a monocrystal. The guy asks if she really thinks he will believe this, and then again asks who she is and why she is treating him. Hearing this, the lady realized that she had nowhere to run, and then says that it doesn't matter because she thinks that this is his only chance to save himself. She says that in the finale, only the winner will deserve the right to live. The young man says that she lied when she said that she was an intern, and then he asks if she is not from the temple, then how? The girl thought about him not coming so close to her and then asks him to stand. She screams and says that she is an employee and claims that she is not part of the temple. Selena reflects that she never imagined he would be so persistent, but now that she sees him in this light, he really is very handsome. And she wonders if she should kidnap him right now. The main character thinks that allowing such a person to rot in such a place would be simply wasteful. However, she understands that in any case she needs to return, and when he was not himself, it was easier with him. The lady tells him to remember that he better lose this round if he wants to live, and then tells her that it is time for her to go. He asks her to wait a minute and then asks if he will be able to see her if he stays in the temple. The lady says she'll be back, but the guy thinks she left again. The day of the tournament, Selena stands under the wall, hoping that no one will get hurt, because she understands that he was so scared that he prayed for a long time before the fight. Jenna asks if she is talking about the fire moth and then says that this man became a slave gladiator because he is a thief who killed a family of townspeople. Hearing this, the main character thought that this man was a real scumbag, but she understood that she was my face for him. Berserk. And then she asked when the fight would end. The priest asks to call the doctor right now. Selena thought that it seemed like the berserker won, but she didn't understand what. She heard that the audience didn't like the pain, and Barsek just stood there and received blow after blow, but in the end he cut off the fire moth's head with one movement. Hearing this, the girl was surprised because she realized that he intentionally missed the blows. I think he is crazy. And when she looked at him, she wondered if he knew how hard she worked to heal this body. The main character thinks that it doesn't matter because she's not going to treat him now, and even if he's nice about death, she won't accept that he tried to harm himself. Selena reflects that when she thinks about how he suffers in the darkness, she begins to worry. At this time, Franz saw the girl and asked what she was thinking about so much. He asked if she was not very busy. Would she like to go for a walk with him? The priest tells the miss that he heard that she will return home as soon as the tournament is over. She agrees and says that there is not much time left. Franz says that he understands, and since it is almost time to leave, the lady assures him that everything is fine, and then reminds him that he promised to visit her at the Count's castle, and asks if that is true. Selena asks if the lack of a mana crystal has become a problem. He replies that there was no problem because the crystal's lifespan had expired. Hearing this, the lady was surprised and then said that she had used it before and asked why it worked then. Franz asks if she used the mana crystal that was already depleted. He also asks if she went to the isolation ward to treat Berserker. He says he is sure that she thought she was treating him. The priest says that, unlike ordinary people, he has the ability to regenerate and therefore believes that it does not matter what happens because he will not die. She asks even if his head is cut off, and then thinks that the man would win. Franz replies that he does not know if he will survive if his head is cut off, but he believes that he is not one of those who die easily. He says that he does not know what kind of battle will take place, but the temple has put money on him using the name of Viscount Hamilton. Selena was surprised to hear this and then says that it is illegal and claims that the temple cannot participate in gambling. The man says that it would be wonderful if everyone lived according to the laws, but believes that reality is different and the real world works differently. The lady asks if he can repeat it publicly as a priest. He replies that of course not, but he planned to live a peaceful life in this backwater, and Miss Selena tempts him by moving to the capital. Franz asks if this means that Miss and he are one and also wonders if she understands. The girl asks why he uses the word whole. The priest tells her to be quiet, and they see other priests who are very angry. The guy says that at least he was given a sedative, and therefore he became less violent because he thinks that this man killed his cellmates. Hearing this, the main character understood why he was sitting in solitary confinement and believed that she had taken a huge risk. And then she said that she had heard that experiments had been conducted on him. Franz asks in surprise how she found out about this, and then says that he doesn't know what kind of experiment it was. But he only knows that no matter what he did with it, he wouldn't die. The lady realized that they were experimenting on a prisoner from an enemy country, and the church was truly rotten to the core. And she was once again convinced that this man was Valhall. However, the girl does not know if she should ask just in case. Selena wonders if the Raven was also a criminal before. And this man is from a defeated kingdom. Franz says that he heard that he is the only surviving military leader from the country that attacked them. Hearing this, the girl realized that the Raven is also from that country, and believes that then any of them could be Valhall. The main character understands that in the end she will still have to wait for the results of the tournament, and then asks how much it costs to buy a knight from the temple. Suddenly, she saw the guy looking at her and asking why he was reacting to her like that. Franz wondered what she meant by buying a knight from the temple, because he had heard that some aristocrats secretly dated Templars, and then asked the miss if she was one of those women. Selena smiled and objected, saying that was not what she meant. He said it didn't matter how much she was willing to pay because buying a knight was quite difficult. Franz asks how she can take a church knight for personal use and then claims that he is not a mercenary. Hearing this, the main character was surprised, and she became interested in how Shannon got Valhalla. She believes that even if an experiment was performed on him, he would not be able to win with such a wounded body, because then he would not be able to stand or hold a sword. The girl realizes that if he fights the Raven in this state, she should go and check on him because she realizes that she is just going to make sure that he gets the proper treatment. When the girl went down to the basement, she saw a lot of red liquid and realized that he was bleeding from a wound, and she understood that if this continued, he could die from loss. Selena wondered how deep his wounds were because she couldn't even hear him breathe, but she knew she had to make sure he was alive. When the girl touched the guy, he opened his eyes and asked why she was so late. The lady wondered if he had been conscious all this time and if he had been waiting for her. The main character thought that it was too late and he himself was to blame for his wounds, and she also wondered if he knew what it cost her to treat him. However, she understands that he was obviously under the influence, and she heard that no matter what they did to him, he did not die. Selena asks what he would do if she hadn't come. She asks when she promised to treat him if he got hurt. And the guy says that she came anyway. The girl says that it is so, and he asks if she was planning to come. The lady objects and says that she was planning to come because she could not pretend that she did not see how injured he was. At this time, the main character thought that she didn't even understand what she had just said, because she knew that it didn't match what she had said before. And at this time, she realized that her face had turned red because he was too close. The man claims that she does not need to avoid him and then offers to watch him because he is not dangerous. The lady says that she will then heal him and gives him a bottle of medicine. However, the guy objects and says that he does not want to drink it. Miss assures that it is a regular painkiller, and at this time she understands that his wariness is understandable after 5 years of experiments. However, she believes that she needs to convince him that it is safe. Selena knows that this medicine tastes like cherry and says so, and the guy asks what benefit it will give her if he survives. He wonders if the point is that there should be spectacular fights at the tournament. At this time, the main character thought that even if it is not so, he will not understand and then asks who knows. He says that if she tells, he will do whatever she wants. And the girl asks what if she says that it would be beneficial for her if he died. The guy assures that for her sake he can. Hearing this, the lady was surprised and asked if he was saying that he wanted to die like this. The guy assured that he didn't want to anymore. Selena knows he just told her he wanted to die, and then asks how he can say that after letting himself get hurt. She thinks she should take a closer look at him while she treats him today. The girl had a mana crystal in her hands, but Franz said that the lifespan of this crystal had expired. She understands that this is not true, and also assumes that this mana crystal is special. Within a few minutes, the lady looked at the guy and thought that he was definitely healed, but suddenly her vision deteriorated and she lost consciousness for a minute. The guy asks in surprise what is happening, and at that time the girl thought that maybe it was because of the painkiller, since it really was so strong. Selena thinks that the medicine was so strong and she gave it to him without knowing it. And she feels like she's drunk on strong liquor, and then she asks if he was interested in what she wanted. The girl says that he survived because she wants it. He hugs her and asks her name. The lady asks how about him because she is curious about his name. The guy replies that he doesn't have a name. The girl asks how he can live without a name because his family, friends, and colleagues didn't call him by his name. The man says he doesn't remember. Celine says it's very sad and then says she'll give him a name then. The girl says that if he wins, she will call him Click. At this time, she wakes up and does not understand when she fell asleep and thought that there was something like pillows there, but does not understand why it is so dark there. When the girl took the lamp, she noticed that she was sleeping on the guy. The man says that the priest will come soon. The main character realized that if people caught her sleeping here, she was afraid to even imagine what rumors would start then, since she was the Count's daughter. The girl said that she had to leave before anyone saw her here. When the lady touches the door, she doesn't understand what's wrong with her because the door was locked, and then she says that she needs to leave. The guy offers her to use the back door. The girl looked at him in surprise and does not understand what he is going to do, and she became interested in who he is because she thinks that he can escape at any moment and she does not understand why he is still here. Celine thanked her and he told her not to forget what she said yesterday. He reminded her that if he survives, she will have to give him a name. Miss says that she promises to do it and then quickly leaves. The main character says that the person from the detention center can probably escape at any moment, but she doesn't understand why he hasn't done it yet. Franz claims that the reason is obvious, since he has nowhere to go. He asks who will accept a man who was previously a slave gladiator, and believes that the only place where he can be accepted is the Order of the Holy Knights. 30 minutes ago, the girl tells Franz that she has meat and asks if he wants to eat it with her. He refuses because priests are not supposed to eat meat, but a few minutes later he agrees. Selena says that if he is a gladiator slave who performed well during the tournament, then she wonders if some organizations would want to accept him, since she thinks he is strong. Franz asks if the lady would accept such a man in the Count's castle, since he shows no loyalty to the Empire and lacks morals and also has a very violent character. The priest believes that even the mercenaries will not accept him, since he does not know who would entrust a mission to a man like him. The main character thought that when she saw Franz, she thought that this world was not so terrible, but she understood that she should not forget that this world belongs to merciless people who commit lawlessness. And the girl understands that for them she is just prey, and then says that it is time for her to go. And at that time, she thought that she wants to see the man from the detention center again before the fight begins. However, the lady understands that it seems she will not be able to leave as easily as before. She is afraid that if she sees him now, it may be their last meeting, and the man she must leave in the darkness. She wonders what if he does not survive the finale. Selena wonders if he thinks about her the same way she thinks about him. Suddenly, the girl heard someone say that the pontiff of the temple is here, and she assumes that he and Franz are brothers because he looks like Franz, 10 years older. The boy turns to Lady Crawford and says that he must give her a note. She reads that it is the Eastern Gate and wonders who sent it. The boy says that Lord Crawford has instructed him to do this. The lady wondered whether Cedric would be here, and then she went to the appointed place. The uncle explains that he stopped to see her after reconnoitering the borders and then asks how she is doing, and also wonders if she is hurt anywhere. Cedric asks if the priests made her do hard labor. She assures him that they did not. The man says he heard that she worked well and shared the work fairly with the other interns, and they even praised her for setting a good example for others. Cedric asks when she plans to return home and then tells her to tell him the date because he will send a carriage by the right time. He looks at the girl in surprise and asks what is wrong. The girl explains that if she says that she is returning home, she asks if her mother will like it. The uncle says that the Countess will give her a warm welcome and then asks if she has forgotten how she took care of her since childhood, because she did not sleep at night when she was unwell. Cedric says that Camilla cherishes her like her own daughter, and of course he does too. Selena turns to her uncle and thinks that no matter how much he dislikes conflict, she wonders if he is really going to deny that her niece was so desperately humiliated and then claims that she is more comfortable in the monastery than at home. The girl says that if her mother is at home, she will be able to start stuttering again, and she thought that if she tells him this, he will no longer be able to pretend that he doesn't know. The little girl looked at her uncle and thought about how he shouldn't tell her that he really didn't know this. But seeing his face, she thought that it was impossible, because he really didn't know. She doesn't understand how the Knight Commander didn't notice this. Cedric turns to the girl and says that in any case there may be a countess, and then says that he will wait for her at home. The main character does not understand why he suddenly behaved this way, while Penny, an illiterate girl, sent her dozens of letters of sketches. This man never wrote to her. The girl heard that the final round of the tournament was starting, and standing at the door, she didn't know whether she should go and watch the last fight. Suddenly, the girl felt that someone touched her, and she does not understand how it is possible to touch someone else's body so insensitively. And when she looked back, she saw her brother who was brought together. The guy says he missed her. The lady thought that this guy is Camilla's only son, Adrian Barry, in the original story. Selena's feelings towards Adrian were one application to try to stay away. Adrian hugs the girl and says that he thought he would die because he missed her so much. The little girl suggests talking after he lets her go, and at that time, looking at him, she realized that he is not at all like Shannon and considers it a little strange. She does not understand why he is so strong. The main character reflects on what she thought in the original. He was just a child, and he was selfish. Adrian turns to her and then grabs her hand, but the lady suggests that he not come closer. But he pretends not to hear her and kisses her hand and then asks if his sister didn't miss him. Selena says she missed him, and he asks if she still stutters and then tells her that Lord Crawford said she stopped. The girl asks if he shouldn't call him uncle, and at that moment she thinks that she doubts that he denies that they are family. Adrian asks his sister if she knows how much time has passed since their last meeting. She replies that she is not sure. The guy says that 6 months have passed and then says that he can no longer be away from his sister, and as soon as the training is over, he will go home. The girl says that because of her, he shouldn't do that. Hearing this, he gets angry and asks why she always says no. At this time, the baby started to cry, and he apologized and asked if she was scared, and then said that he didn't want to be irritated and explained that he just missed her very much. Adrian reminds his sister that when they were little, they had so much fun together because she read books out loud and they played hide and seek. The guy claims that everything would be wonderful if everything could stay the same, just him and her. The lady replies that everything was like that when they were kids and therefore asks not to talk as if she didn't miss him. Celine says that if her mother finds out that they are together, she will not forgive them. Her brother says that they do not need her forgiveness, and he does not care if he goes to hell after death because right now he wants to be with his sister. The girl says that he and she are not children anymore. Adrian claims that she is cruel because he has not seen her for so long and asks if she will nag him. At this time, the main character does not understand what to do with this child and thinks that maybe she should just scream. The girl understands that the tournament has already begun, and therefore there is not a single priest nearby. And she understands that maybe this is exactly what he was trying to achieve. The guy says that it sounds so distant and so suggests that she call him affectionately Eddie instead, or he will kiss her. The young man reminds her that last time she kissed him and asks if the girl remembers. He smiles and asks if she is still in shock. Selena says that she thinks the tournament is over and he needs to go and suggests that they forget about what happened then. She says that she will see him at home and then says that she has to leave. The guy tells his sister that she never called the Count's castle her home and they haven't seen each other for 5 years. At this time, the main character thought that she was caught, and she heard that the winner was determined and the glorious hero Berserker. Jenna says that it was terrible and this year's Gladiator Slave Tournament will be the worst, and then explains that that's why she told her not to leave a trace when she cleaned the detention center because she thought maybe there would be no evidence left. The lady says that when the battle began, everyone was excited, and the Raven and the Berserker did not fight. And even when the enemy approached, he did not draw his sword, and instead they talked about something. The main character asked if he had shouted that and committed suicide. The girl claims that everything was like that, and only a few years had passed since the war between the Empire and the Kingdom ended. Finally, a knight from the Church Order stepped forward to test the strength of the winner. Jenna believes that this man is truly crazy, and he definitely dealt with the vice captain. Well, in the end, he joined the ranks of the Holy Knights as the winner. Selena does not understand why the Raven did this because she believes that he already knew how Selene his opponent was. The main character thinks that it is obvious because it is all because of the man from the isolation ward. The Raven, who was the general of the damaged kingdom, and the reason why he knelt down and shouted praises to the kingdom is Valhael Kostak. The girl believes that this is because he is a member of the royal family of the defeated kingdom. The lady reflects on what she was told that Valhael went to the temple with the Order of the Holy Knights, although she did not see him leave, but she was told that he was not in shackles when he left. Jenna asks her not to leave because she doesn't know what she will do without her and thinks it will be boring there. Selena decided to return to the Count's castle, but in fact she wanted to stay longer. But she understood that this bastard Adrian was too close, and she never knew when he would decide to drop in, and she thought it would be better to stay in the Count's castle. The main character understands that no matter how well she pretends, she cannot influence the situation, and then says that they will see each other again. She thought about how difficult it is to deceive someone who has been fixated on one person for a long time. At this time in Crawford Castle, a young gentleman asks a maid her name. She replies, Penny. Cedric says that the reason he called her was because he wanted to ask her about Selena. And at that time, he thought about the fact that he asked Camilla about this too. However, the woman angrily asked if he was accusing her of neglecting Selena, and then claims that she devoted her entire youth to raising her, and then asks what she got in the end. The maid asks the captain how he could say such a thing to Madame, and also wonders if he doesn't know how much she cares for Lady Selena, and claims that she is a living witness of what happened between Madame and the lady. At this time, Cedric thought that because of his duties as a knight of the Royal Order, he rarely appears in the castle, and on the other hand, Camilla and Selena lived together in this castle for 10 years, and he does not know if this means that all this time his niece was oppressed and that is why she stutters. The man thought that this was unbelievable, and he didn't even want to believe it and hoped that it wasn't true. The master tells the maid that if she catches a cold, she should tell the head maid that she is sick. Penny objects and says that she is not sick, and then says that it is just very cold in the outbuilding at night and the temperature drops to such a level that you can even freeze to death. Cedric asks in surprise if this is true, and then wonders why she and Selena continue to live in such poor conditions. The maid explains that all this is because no one brings them firewood and none of the servants listen to either her or the lady. but she believes that at least they pretend to help them when the captain comes to the castle. Penny says that on the days when he is away, she sleeps in my lady's arms because she was afraid that she would freeze to death. The gentleman says that Camilla said that Selena likes it in the outbuilding because it is hot there, and then asks why she did not come and tell him about it right away. The maid tells the captain that he spends 3 days a month in the castle, and then asks if he won't be leaving on patrol again tomorrow. The gentleman asks what the butler is thinking and then states that if anything like this happens again, he must notify him immediately. The maid tells the captain that the butler has arrived here with Madame Camilla. He says that Penny can go. William turns to the captain and says that he believes that Lady Selena needs a personal night. Cedric asks why an escort is needed for a child who never even goes anywhere. However, the man claims that the danger may be inside the castle and not outside, and he has even heard that Madame Severo addresses Selena and her maid. However, the gentleman claims that they should not doubt Camilla, since she is the Duke's second daughter, and he does not think that she will oppress the child or do anything else terrible. William claims that he heard her beat the lady until she passed out and even lock Lady Selena in a closet for the entire day. Hearing this, the captain was surprised, and the guy claims that these are just rumors and he has no solid evidence, and therefore asks to let him finish them off. He asks the captain to approve him for the role of her escort. When the girl arrived home, she did not understand why Cedric was meeting her. Uncle says that he is glad that she has returned because their last meeting worried him, and then asks if something happened. The lady replies that nothing happened and she just wanted to go home, and at that time she thought that she came because of Adrian. The captain says that while she was away, he thought for a long time and made some decision. He says that from that day on, she will have a personal night. Selena wonders if her mother has given her permission, and her uncle says she doesn't have to worry about it. He suggests moving her to a bedroom somewhere else. The main character asks in surprise why so suddenly. He answers that the outbuilding is too far away and too cold for such a sickly lady, and says that of course some people don't think so, and then says that they swapped her bedroom and Camilla's bedroom, and from today it will be like that. Hearing this, the young lady thought that her plan was to swap bedrooms with Shannon, but in return she got Camilla's bedroom and was very happy but did not show it. The girl understands that when she was in the monastery, the penny played its role. She invites her uncle to go inside. William asks the girl to let him carry her luggage. He tells my lady that he heard that the captain will be staying at the castle for a while, and the maid says that he sent someone else on patrol. The lady asks if this is true, and the guy replies that it is true. The girl looked at William and thought that she knew he was a proud knight, but she didn't think he would condescend to be her escort. She knew he would be the next captain of the White Eagle Knights. After the conflict with Camilla, Spencer was the only one who led the knights and left this family. Selena thought that at this time she liked everything because she knew that he could protect her from Adrian. The lady asks if it would be impolite if she called him by his name. And at that moment, she thought that, except for Cedric, even Camilla and Shannon speak politely to knights and with respect and gratitude. The main character knows that his salary is paid by Camilla's family, and she does not have the money to pay him yet. She understands that she needs her knights to be loyal to her even if she cannot pay them. The little girl doesn't understand if this is too impudent on her part and thinks that it's okay if he doesn't like it. She says that she heard that they are the same age. Selena says that since he is her personal knight, she asks if he will always be on her side and then claims that it would be better if they were friends. She asks if he doesn't like it, and then says that if it was impolite, she apologizes. The knight says that everything is fine and from now on she can call him William. The lady asks the guy if he is okay because he has red liquid coming out of his nose, and then she gives him a handkerchief. The knight claims that he is fine, and she asks in surprise, what does it mean that he is fine, and then wipes his nose. William thanks her, and at this time the girl thought that she was taking back her words about him being quiet. The guy says that she can call him Will, and at that time she thought that he was another idiot. The maid tells Milady that while she was away, there was a big quarrel. The captain asked if Madame had treated the young lady cruelly, and then she said that it was unfair. Hearing this, the main character does not understand what the hell is unfair about this, and thinks that it is probably because she will not be able to torment her anymore. In the original story, Camilla was like a poisonous snake until the very end. In her last minutes, Camilla told the girl that she had killed her mother, and that Jana had died without even having time to scream, and then asked the lady if she knew how terrible it was, and thought that it was a pity because she had not seen it. Selena does not understand why there was such a cruel revenge, because in the circle of salvation there was no obvious winner. And if she were asked who benefited the most from this, she would answer that it was the distant Duke. But he was also terribly confused. Penny says she is sad that winter is ending because she thinks Madame should know how cold it is in the outbuilding in the middle of winter. The main character says that they don't know when she will start doing her old thing again because she understands that Cedric's trust will not disappear overnight. Selena asks the maid if her mother did anything bad to her. Penny replies that everything is fine because Madame was too busy spying on the captain. The maid says that besides that, Madame still doesn't seem to believe that Milady speaks without hesitation and thinks that it's probably because she herself hasn't seen it. The girl says that it's great. And the maid says that Emma is constantly watching her and says something like that she doesn't believe that they are maids of the same level, and then she claims that if you don't count the beatings, then she's interested in what she can do. Penny says the problem is Lady Shannon because she's going to have fun humiliating Milady again. At this time, the main character thought that Shannon would not be a serious problem because she believes that she is stupid and dependent, and if she has no one to rely on, she will behave quietly. Selena doesn't understand if it's possible that Valhale will fall in love with Shannon and if he will suddenly turn against her. The girl remembers that she worked so hard to heal his wounded body, and she wonders if he got to the Holy Order safely. The lady understands that he decided to join it himself and therefore believes that he should be fine. However, the main character assumes that perhaps he is waiting for her at the monastery, since she told him that she was an intern there and also promised to give him a name. But in the end, she left him alone. Selena says that she wants to send a letter, and at that time she thought that she shouldn't have made that promise because she thought that one day they would meet again. At this time, the main character heard Camilla screaming that they should immediately light a fire in the fireplace. The lady asks the servant if he knows where the post office is. He says that the lady can give it to him. She says that she asks him to take this letter and send it to the monastery. The main character looked at Madame and she wondered if she would be able to get used to life in the outbuilding, but she thought that it was not her problem, because she was sure that in the end this letter would end up in the hands of Shannon or Emma. Selena sees Emma and asks how she is doing and then asks if she is still making fun of Penny. The girl says that she hopes that as Shannon's maid she can get along with their Penny. Emma thought about how, despite everything she does, she hates her. And then she objects and says that it's not like that because she didn't do anything. She claims that this crazy girl Penny is trying to blame her and that she tore her dress because she is the only person who has access to her clothes without her knowledge. The maid claims that this is not true and she did not do it, but the main character says that she understood. At this time, the lady realized that this maid had gone to Camilla, and even if we ignore what she said, it is quite obvious that she will report. Penny turns to Milady and asks if something good happened as she smiles. Selena says she has moved into a new bedroom. Since the outbuilding only has a view of the stables, it has a view of the garden. She knows that now that winter is over, the flowers will start to bloom. The girl says that she got her mother's room and then asks what could be better. Penny tells Milady that Madame is a terrible person because she comes from the capital, and if she doesn't listen to her, then she's even scared at the thought of what could happen to her mistress. The maid asks not to be too rude to Camilla, and the main character thought that it couldn't be that Penny was afraid that Camilla would poison her. And she suddenly remembered that the poison that Selena tried to drink, and her words suggest that it was she who switched the drinks. The lady looked at the maid and did not understand how she knew that Camilla had killed Jean. The maid says that if it weren't for the mistress, she would have been found guilty. Selena asks if she is guilty, and the maid claims that of course it is not so, and she is not guilty of anything. Penny reports that Madame also tried to pin the blame on her, but in the end, it turned out that Emma did it. The main character then asks why Emma blames her for this, because she said that only she could do it. Penny says in surprise that she has no shame at all and thinks that this is an absolute lie. And at this time, the girl thought that she just said it and then says that she knows that she did not do it. The maid thanked my lady for trusting her. The lady understands that this is because she is still young and her emotions are like an open book and then claims that of course she trusts her. Selena knows that in this estate where everyone wears a mask, Penny is the only one who is as innocent as a blank slate. At this time, a servant enters the room and addresses Milady, and the maid asks how he dares to enter the lady's room without knocking. He apologizes and then says that it is urgent and says that the Countess is looking for Lady Selena. The girl asks her mother if she called her, and the woman asks how it happened that she no longer comes to say hello to her, since it has been a month and a half since they last saw each other. The daughter says that she was going to come in and the stepmother asks if everything is okay and also inquires about how things are in the monastery. Hearing this, the main character fell to the floor and the maid asks Milady if she is okay. The girl says that this is a fortress and not a monastery. Camilla says that she must have been through a lot and therefore thinks that it was not worth asking her. And at that time, she thought that, as expected, this girl has not changed at all. The Countess reflects on the fact that when Cedric suddenly got angry, she thought that she had told him something. The woman remembered the conversation with the captain. He said that it doesn't matter how much Selena likes it, because if she were her own daughter, he asks whether she would send her to the outbuilding. The Countess asks what is wrong with the outbuilding, as she believes that it contains everything a lady needs. Cedric says that's not what he meant, and then says that then she will live there herself. Camilla thought that in the end the reason was in this maid Emma, and if only this damn dress had not torn. The woman says her uncle told her she went to the monastery to think about her behavior, and then asks if she really needed to think or if she was trying to run away from home. Selena objects and tells her mother that this is not so. And at this time, the woman thought that she cannot believe that this is her beautiful daughter, and thinks that as soon as Selena reaches marriageable age, she will marry her off to Count Nock. And even though he is over 70, his fortune is much more important to her. The stepmother tells the girl that there is nothing to worry about, because whether she wants it or not, she will soon leave this castle. And then asks if she was told that this is the best of the bedrooms and that she can open a secret door. The maid tells Madame that Milady knows nothing about this, and that ever since she took the sleeping medicine, her memories have been confused. The woman asks Penny if she doesn't know where the secret door is. And the maid says she thinks it's somewhere under the bed, and she doesn't know for sure because Milady never opened it. The Countess says that then that's all and they can go, and then says that they still need to go somewhere. Shannon asks her mother what she is doing in her room and then says that she was just on her way to her room. Camilla says that it looks like Selena seduced someone in the monastery because she wrote a letter to a priest named Aaron. And then she tells the butler to leave and close the door. The woman grabs Emma by the hair and asks how she can laugh at her, being the daughter of a lowly knight. The maid says it's a mistake because she did nothing. The Countess says that she knows that she started all this and then asks if she told all this to Cedric. The woman asks if she can burn her face. Hearing this, the maid became frightened and asked the madam to spare her. The Countess tells her not to worry because she believes that it won't hurt because she'll just give her a drug that will kill her instantly, and then tells her that she must go into the forest at sunset and take it otherwise her father will die instead of her. The woman says that her mother and her brother will be next. Camilla asks her to save her family. At this time, Penny tells Milady that she surprised her earlier because she really believed that she was the main stutterer. The maid asks how she managed to do it so convincingly because her tears flowed like a stream. Hearing this, the main character does not understand why she is so good at this and thinks that maybe it is because her specialty was acting. Penny says there's more big news because she thinks Emma has probably been kicked out of the castle. Selena asks how long Emma has worked here. Penny says she thinks she has been with Lady Shannon since her mother served her. After all, they say that Madame raised only Master Adrian herself. The main character thinks that it is pity because Shannon will be upset. Hearing this, the maid is surprised and asks if Milady pities her and wonders if she does not remember what happened earlier because Emma pushed her into the pond in the middle of winter. The maid says that Emma left a vicious hunting dog in her bedroom and ran away, and she even fed it rotten fish. And besides, she tore her dress twice for that matter. At this time, the girl thought that even the glorious Selena from the original story, when Emma died inside, she was happy. Milady suggests calling William's Penny first. Selena muses that the reason she feels sorry for Emma is because she knows who the real culprit was. And she thinks that it wasn't Emma who tore the dress, but she was the one who tore the dress. The maid asks the mistress why she is not sleeping since it is already midnight. The lady replies that she needs to check something and suggests that Penny go to bed. At this time, the main character thought that she could not fall asleep because she gave William one secret order. And when she looked out the window, she realized that it was not William, because he was much smaller in build. The girl became curious about who was returning to the residence at such a late hour. When Celine came down the stairs, she saw Shannon. She asked her stepsister where she went all alone at night, and also asks if she said goodbye to Emma, and suggests that they quickly go inside since she will pretend that she did not see her. When Shannon left, my lady thought that she was a shameless girl and she, like a fool, worried about her. The main character understands that Shannon's sadness over losing her friend is huge, but without Emma, Shannon will have no problems. And she believes that now she will behave like a mouse. Milady saw William and asked if he had managed to do what she had asked. He replied that he had arranged everything as she had said. When the girl came to her room, she thought that there were no problems, and thought that everything was calm, and said that he had worked hard, and then thanked him for fulfilling her request. Celine says that she would like this matter to remain a secret for some time, even from her uncle. And the knight says that this will be done. The main character asks if he can promise her this request to keep secret what is known only to the two of them. However, she understands that it may be difficult for him because William is completely devoted to Cedric, and also because a knight cannot lie, because breaking a knight's oath threatens to deprive him of his life. The girl thinks that he must be feeling burdened anyway, and she uses such a word as a promise. But the knight kisses her hand and tells the lady that he promises to do it. The next morning, the maids are surprised and ask if they heard the news that a body washed up on the riverbank and that it belongs to Emma, and apparently they were able to identify the owner by the ring they were wearing with Mrs. Shannon. The maid says that Emma was so proud that they had been friends since childhood, and Mrs. Shannon doesn't even leave her room. But fortunately, Mrs. Selina took care of the deceased and organized the funeral, and therefore the servants think that she has a kind heart. Selina says she doesn't understand why she's doing this. Penny says her mother went down with shock and thinks she staged a show, and Shannon locked herself in her room. And in the end, the funeral was entrusted to Selina. When the girl saw her uncle, she said that she heard that he had some business today. He explains that he still has to express his condolences to the family of the deceased and says that Emma's father is a member of the Knights Order of the White Eagle. At this time, a man comes up to them and asks where Countess Crawford and Lady Shannon are. He asks how they could do such a thing and not even come out to see their Emma off on her final journey. Emma's father says his daughter has been Shannon's maid almost since she was born. He wonders why their daughter, who cared for the Countess and her daughter, met such an inglorious end. The man says that he will never forgive them for this. The lady offers the man to take the letter because it contains Emma's last will and then says that this is all she can do. Selina saw Emma's younger brother, Charles, and she doesn't understand why he is following her. The girl asks if he and his mother serve Mrs. Shannon and then asks why he doesn't go to her since she thinks there is no need to follow her. The Countess tells Selina that she heard that she organized Emmy's funeral. But the girl objects and says that she simply helped her uncle. Camilla says that if she meets Cedric, she should tell him that she doesn't feel well today. The boy tells the lady that no one will believe his words, but dozens of people saw how his sister received a slap in the face from the Countess and ran away from the castle. Charles reports that Emma always said that if you don't know the devil's weakness, you'll die before you can make a sound. He claims that the Countess is the devil incarnate. Hearing this, the main character realized that this child no longer intends to serve Camilla, and therefore believes that perhaps this is her chance, and then asks Charles if he can fulfill her request. Celine says that she needs to send one letter so that no one finds out about it. A few days later, Charles brought her an answer, and the lady thought that this boy deserved praise. Franz wrote that he received the things she sent, and next time he asked to send him sausage. After reading the letter, the girl does not understand if this is all because she asked how Barkale was doing, but he did not say anything and only ate the sausages. Penny asks the lady what happened, and the lady offers to prepare everything for departure since she has a wonderful excuse to visit the temple. No one was suspicious when Selina suddenly decided to visit the temple. The woman with pink hair says that it is impudent of her to take the Countess's chambers for herself, and believes that her young age does not justify her, since she must immediately return back to the outbuilding. At this time, the main character thought that Camilla should not notice her absence and believes that now she must be busy inciting the vassals in the Count's castle. Selina realizes that she is not alone today, and thanks Shannon for keeping her company today. Sister asks if Uncle Cedric has gone to scout out the location of the barbarians. The girl says that his trip has been delayed for some reason, and she is a little worried, so she suggests praying together for his safe return. The main character understands that of course these are just excuses. And then she says that it is not necessarily about her uncle, and if there is someone else she wants to pray for, then let her do it. Abbess Erin tells Lady Selina that they haven't seen her for a long time. The girl asks how she is doing. The abbess thanks them and then says that she has no complaints and asks if they came to pray and also wonders who this young girl is. Selina looked at Shannon and thought about her not being silent but answering something. And then she says that this is her younger sister and offers Shannon to say hello. The young lady says she is Shannon Barry of the Crawford family. Aaron says that since they have come such a long way, he asks why they don't go see the Reverend Francis, since he is right now in a small room. Selina says that she thinks it's worth visiting him and then thanks the abbess. Shannon asks who asked to call her little sister and then asks if she was surprised and suggests that she admit that she didn't expect it. The main character says that Aaron is not a man. Shannon asks in surprise if she knew that she read her letter. And the lady replies that of course she knew because she is not a fool and claims that reading other people's letters like a rat is definitely against etiquette and is very pathetic. Shannon screams and asks where she is going and then grabs her hand and asks if he knew everything and why he kept quiet. and says that she decided to trick her into going to the temple to humiliate her and boast about how smart and reasonable she is. Celine claims that she was the one who followed her and suggests that she stop behaving so tactlessly, and then says that if she does something like that again, she will break her wrist herself. Shannon says that she is a nobody who can't say a word to her mother without stumbling, and then claims that it was she who should have died and not Emma. At this time, the high priest approaches them and turns to Selena and asks what she is doing here. The lady apologizes and then asks if she disturbed him. Shannon turns to Franz and greets him, then tells him that she is Shannon Barry of the Crawford family. Seeing this, the main character does not understand what came over her, and the younger sister says that it is an honor for her to meet him. Selena thought that Shannon has a completely different type, and she does not understand how Barkale is, since they are complete opposites. The high priest asks what brought her to the prayer room. She replies that even such a bright and harmless girl as she has small sins. He claims that everything is fine because none of them are sinless, and one only needs to sincerely ask the Lord for forgiveness. The girl asks if it is permissible to have indecent fantasies about a priest, and then asks if he can continue their conversation in a more secluded place. Hearing this, the main character thought that she was crazy, but she thinks that this is a good idea, and this is her chance to break away from Shannon's close supervision. The lady says that it is time for her to go, and Franz asks where she is going and also asks not to leave him. At this time, the main character thought that she should take advantage of the opportunity to see Barkale as soon as possible. The man tells her to stand still and then says that he cannot let her in without special permission. Maximus Clark asks her to state her full name and the reason for her visit. The lady says that she is Selena Crawford, the eldest daughter of Earl Crawford, and not long ago, as a novice, she helped with the gladiator competition. The girl says that the patient she was caring for became the winner, and she was told that he became part of the Sacred Order. Maximus says that he was expelled. Upon hearing this, the lady was surprised and asked why, since she believes that despite his origins, he is a quiet and meek person. The man explains that his refusal to train was an attempt to desert and kill the instructor, and the puppy he was trying to take with him left the temporary shelter. Maximus says that if she suddenly meets him, then let her tell him that on the day he gets to Maximus Clark, he must be ready to part with his life. Hearing this, the main character thought that everything was going badly because she was unable to meet him and did not find out where he could go. Selena thought about how she wanted to give him a name. Franz turns to the lady and she asks if he is all right. The high priest reports that Lady Shannon is now in the prayer room, and it has been a long time since he has encountered such an unbearable lady. Franz asks where the lady disappeared to. She tells him not to be angry because she had business in the Holy Order, and then says that things are gloomy there. The guy reports that because of that gladiator, there was an unprecedented uproar in the temple, and they say that as soon as he entered the Sacred Order, his attitude changed dramatically. Franz says that after going 2 weeks without food or drink, he tried to desert, and as far as he knows, he killed the knights who blocked his path and then asks why he did this. The guy reports that they say he was looking for some kind of novice. At this time, the main character thought about whether it was because of her that he entered the Sacred Order and left it just to meet her. Franz says that he thinks he was looking for her Lady Selena. Hearing this, she thought that probably Barkale thought that he would find her in the temple. The young lady believes that he entered the knightly order hoping to find her, but ended up being so disappointed that he stopped eating and drinking and assumes that he now hates her because she left without even saying goodbye. The high priest asks the girl if she is okay, and then says that maybe he already found out her real name and therefore she should be careful and it is better for her not to be left alone. Selena says that she understands and then thanks him for his concern, and at that time she thought that on the contrary, she is looking for a meeting with him. The girl says that it is time for her to return home. The Reverend says that then he wishes her safe arrival and will wait for a letter from her. Shannon asks her sister why she is sitting there like a lost soul, and asks if she knows what the Reverend told her, and then says that if there is a need for repentance, she can come at any time. The sister asks if this means that he is eager to meet her and assumes that he is clearly interested in her and therefore thinks that they need to choose a dress for the next meeting. However, at this time, the main character does not understand how she can now find Barkale since she cannot even post an ad. Shannon asks why she's so annoying and why she's sighing. Then she asks since when Sir Spencer became her knight. Sister asks if Uncle ordered a guard to be assigned to her. Selena wonders why she asks if there is one and knows perfectly well. She says that it is unfair and wonders why only she has a personal knight. The main character thought that as soon as she got a bodyguard, she wanted one too. Shannon was originally supposed to bring Barkale, but the plot changed due to her active attempts to change her fate. Lady realizes that now that she knows everything is going as it should, she may be able to avoid meeting the Archduke. Selena reflects that if she continues to act in the same spirit, then she will not only change the course of the plot, but also make her life the way she wants. Shannon screams and asks if she can hear her. Celine asks if she said anything. Sister says she'll ask Uncle to give her a Leica night too. The main character asks if she considers him an uncle and her sister only when it suits her. Shannon asks if she doesn't play family whenever she wants, and asks if the Count's lady would want to be the sister of an illegitimate child of someone she doesn't even know. The girl thought that listening to her now, she could assume that something had happened between Selena and Shannon, because there was clearly some kind of misunderstanding. Shannon says that all her patience has snapped and offers to get out of the carriage. Hearing this, the main character is surprised and Sister tells her to go on foot. Selena thought about how she was riding in a carriage with her personal knight and still dared to tell her what to do. Her sister asked why she froze and then ordered her to stop the carriage quickly. The main character smiled and then said that she would fulfill her wish and then offered William to stop the carriage. When the lady was getting ready for bed, Penny said that she was told that she went to the temple with Mrs. Shannon and then reported that Mrs. Shannon still hasn't returned. Celine says that she will come closer to dinner because she suddenly wanted to go for a walk, so she dropped her off in the middle of the road. The lady asks if everything is quiet in the mansion, and the maid says that she was just about to tell her that Madame Camilla is holding a meeting with her vassals. Having heard this, the girl was surprised and then asked if she was doing this in the absence of her uncle. Penny claims that her uncle is not the head of the family and that Madame has more power, so she can gather vassals whenever she wants. Hearing this, the girl understood that it means she has the right to decide family matters even when Cedric is not there. The main character realizes that Camilla's influence turned out to be stronger than she thought. The maid says that the lady has lost some of her memories, so she doesn't remember, but the atmosphere in the residence wasn't so depressing before. And Madame was a supporter, and she and the Count didn't have any children together. Many argued that she had no right to inherit the Count's title, but after the war, everything changed. The Crawford family suffered terrible losses, and all the expenses for the restoration of the territories and the maintenance of the military on the border came from Camilla's pocket. In society, she maintains a reputation as a mother who carefully raises her children, so the vassals follow her. Charles asks the lady if she is in, and then apologizes for such an unexpected intrusion, and says that there is news that he urgently needs to convey to her. The lady asks if he is talking about the vassals meeting, and then asks how he got in. The boy replies that he is still young and therefore does not arouse any suspicion and pretends to serve the guests and goes inside. Charles says that as soon as Sir Cedric returns, the vassals will hold a court hearing. But Camilla objects and says that there is no need for this, since she cannot do this to Sir Cedric, that she diligently protects the borders of their territory and believes that there are more important matters. The Countess says that the issue of her children's marriages must be resolved in the near future and asks if they have any suitable candidates. Selena asks if this is all about and also wonders if there was an interrupted conversation. At this time, the commander enters the room and turns to the lady and says that she should go with them. The knight reports that the master was attacked by the barbarians and was seriously injured. Hearing this, the girl ran to meet her uncle. Cedric tells his niece that this is the first time he has been hurt so badly and thinks that must have scared her badly. He apologizes for making her worry. Selena says it was not in vain because her heart was not in the right place. Uncle says that she has nothing to worry about because he was just about to come to her to discuss one issue. The man says that this is a long conversation, and as she knows, on the outskirts live the Varvara savages who make a living by stealing. Cedric reports that they set out to help the inhabitants of the plundered territory but were counterattacked and found themselves in the minority. But suddenly a warrior appeared and helped them. Thanks to him, he and his comrades were saved. Uncle says that he now wants to recruit him into their Order of the White Eagle, but Madame Camille is very opposed to this idea, and so she is now staying in the city. The girl asks why she is against it, and the uncle says that he doesn't know if she will understand, but he said that he was a gladiator, and according to him, he has neither a name nor memories. Cedric says that maybe he committed a great sin that cannot be revealed and thus tries to deceive him. When the captain asked the man what he wanted, he replied that he did not need a reward, and if he called him as a servant, he would gladly obey him. The stranger asked to be allowed to dedicate his life to serving the Crawford family. Uncle says that no matter how much he thinks, it doesn't look like he was lying. And then he says that if she is also against it, he won't let him cross the threshold of the city residence. Hearing this, the main character thought that for the first time she admired Cedric, or rather his keen gaze. After all, he immediately understood that in front of him was the best warrior of the Empire, and there was no doubt. The captain asks Selena what she thinks. She replies that she will follow his will because she believes that neither origin nor name are important, and the main thing is that he is a benefactor who saved his life. Selena asks William where the new knight was sent. The man replies that he is guarding the outer borders. The main character thought that 10 days had already passed since the Barkale began living in the Crawford residence, and she had no idea how Cedric convinced Camilla. But she understood that she was not particularly interested in this because something else was much more important. The girl thought that if Shannon encountered Barkale, she would want to know how their relationship would develop. Selena says that he could serve inside the castle and then asks why Mother is so adamant about it. William explains that he is a gladiator, and this is enough to explain Madame Camilla's distrust, and then asks the lady if she saw him during the competition. The girl says that she saw it, although she did not have the opportunity to meet him in person. He says that he is glad to hear it, because otherwise she would have had to see many disgusting things. William wonders how a beautiful girl like her can communicate with some prisoners. She smiles and asks him if she is so beautiful in his eyes. The knight apologizes and then says that, of course, that is exactly it. On the day of her return from the temple, Shannon was forbidden to leave the chamber. Because she returned and immediately screamed asking where that piece of crap Selena was, and ordered the crazy stutterer to come out quickly. The mother asks her daughter how she can talk like that in front of her elders and then tells her to go to her room. Thus, a conflict arose between Camilla, who strictly raises her daughter, and Shannon, who knows her mother's attitude towards such antics and is completely unable to control herself. The main character thought that she should act quickly without waiting for Shannon to be allowed to leave the bedroom. Selena tells the knight that there is one place she would like to visit, and that is the border post. The knight turns to Sir Spencer and says, surprised, that he is glad to see him. And William says that they have not seen each other for a long time and asks if he wants to smoke a cigarette. When the knight walked away, the main character thought that this was her chance, and when she entered the room, she became interested in whether she would find the person she was looking for. Selena muses that Spencer needs to buy as much time as possible. Suddenly, the girl thought that she was instantly enveloped by the smell of herbs, and it was the painfully familiar aroma of herbal ointment that she constantly inhaled in this gloomy isolation ward. When the knight passed by the girl, he pushed her and she fell and thought about whether he would simply ignore the person he had just encountered. The lady offers him to stand. And when the knight heard her voice, he froze in his tracks, and she thought about what it meant that he still remembered her voice, because she thought that he had forgotten her. Selena asks if he will pretend that he doesn't know her, and then says that she thought he was waiting for her, but apparently that's not the case. The girl says that she is sorry because she was really looking forward to their meeting. A few minutes later, the main character says that if Madame Camilla suddenly comes and asks him to become Shannon's personal knight, it would be better to give his consent. The guy asks why he should be responsible for the safety of her younger sister. She replies that she just wants to see him a little more often, and at that time she thought that she was behaving too unceremoniously, but she thinks that it is true that she thinks so. The girl reflects on how she would like to get a better look at his face in the daylight, and then says that she cannot leave the castle every time. The lady heard that in the temple he completely refused food and drink, but here it seems to her that he does not create any problems and thinks that he is very handsome. Selena reports that Shannon's chambers are located not far from hers. She just wanted to find out what was on his mind, but now she realizes that taking him as Shannon's knight is not such a bad idea. The girl understands that this way she will be able to watch and see his cute face more often because of Shannon. The knight asks if this is all she wanted to tell him. The lady asks in surprise what else he expected, and at that time she thought about how Shannon was able to resist this man because she understands that his profile kills her, and anyone who looks at it will say that he is a real handsome man. The guy asks why she treated him, and the lady says that she doesn't even know what to say, and then asks what he thinks. Selena says she noticed right away that he is extremely taciturn, and says that is not the case. The knight says he has no idea what he should say to make the other person enjoy the conversation. At this time, the main character thought that he was afraid that she would leave and immediately rushed to stop her and asked if he wanted her to enjoy the conversation. The guy claims that the final will turn out this way against his will. Upon hearing this, the girl asks in surprise what he is talking about, and at that time she thought about whether he had erased the memories of the gladiator competitions. The knight reports that he tried his best to compete fairly and tried to make the fights interesting for the public, but he did not want him to point a sword at him. Selena asks if he still thinks she is a temple servant and thinks that is why she treated him. She thought that he mistook the benefactor for a spy and thinks that she seems to have hit the nail on the head. The girl understands that from the outside, everything really looks exactly like this, and then says that she will continue to play the role of a puppet. Selena thought that she didn't want to get into an argument because she had no idea what she should say to that. And the knight said that he had won, and even if the opponent hadn't committed suicide, he would have still won because he had given her his word. Hearing this, the main character thought that now she understood why he suddenly started talking about the final of the gladiator competition. Selena remembered what she promised and assumed that he wanted her to fulfill it. The guy claims that this is why she should come up with a name for him. The main character is sure that Barkael Kastak then introduced himself to them as a raven. The lady asks if he already knows and wonders if he wasn't told his name during the gladiator competition. The guy replies that he can't say for sure because he has a feeling that it's not his name. Selena thought that it seemed like he really didn't know what was in the original work. After all, it was unknown whether Barkael had lost his memory during the experiments in the temple, or whether his memories had been erased even before he entered the territory of the Empire. And the girl knows that he was a minor character who did not play a big role in the oppression of salvation. And therefore, she has no way of knowing the details of his story. The main character remembers that the knight told Mrs. Valentine to come back. She thinks that it is only clear that now he will make a completely different impression. The lady reflects on the fact that, moreover, Barkael does not seem to attach importance to the past or forgotten memories, and this is visible to the naked eye. Selena believes that he was probably forced out of the battle for the throne or betrayed and kicked out of the royal family. However, she understands that the bearer of the royal family who lost his memory could not simply be taken and thrown into an enemy country. The girl thinks that she needs to carefully direct the conversation in a different direction, because she does not intend to delve into his past because she already has a lot of worries related to arranging her future. The main character asks if he is hurt and then says that she heard that he saved her uncle. He says that the body is in the same condition as it was after his treatment. The lady thought that he was short, and she didn't understand if this was the guy who snapped in the detention center. She asked to show her because she had to personally make sure that he didn't have any injuries. The man unbuttoned his shirt and told her to look. She touched his body and thought that in fact there was not a single scratch. The girl asks if he can promise that he will never get hurt again in the future. The guy says he will promise. Suddenly, the lady heard that William was looking for her and thought that she needed to hurry. The young man says that Selena is a beautiful name. Hearing this, she thought that he can only be serious, but it turns out that he can also be gallant. Selena says that she needs to go, and then, as she leaves, she looks back and sees him still watching her. And even after getting out of that darkness, he continued to wait for her. The lady says that from now on he will be called Barkael, and says that she will come to him again. William asks the lady where she went as he was looking for her. She apologizes and explains that she got a little lost. The knight reports that he was worried that she had gone beyond the limits. Suddenly, they saw Camilla, and they became curious about where she was going at such a late hour, and who the man next to her was. The main character reflects on the fact that she has already seen him before. Penny asks the lady why she came back so late. She replies that she had some business and asks if she was waiting for her, and then says that she left on time because she just needed to ask Penny something. The girl says that she just saw her mother with some man, and he has light hair that seems to have started to thin out on the sides, forming the letter M. The maid asks the mistress if she really doesn't remember, and then says that it's the butler, and asks how she could forget him. Selena realized that it was the butler, and he never greeted her, so she thought that he was Camilla's personal knight. Penny asks the mistress if she is going to bed. Selena suggests that she go to bed first because she needs to check something. The maid says that now she will definitely not fall asleep and asks where the lady is going. The young lady explains that she wants to watch the outbuilding, and Penny asks why she wants to do this, and also wonders if she noticed anything suspicious in Madame Camilla's behavior. The butler of the Count's residence, Reuben, asks Camilla if she is in a good mood. And the woman asks if it is noticeable, and then says that Cedric came to her with his head bowed for the first time in a long time. The Countess says that the barbarians are trying to take over the farming plantations, so he asked for help with financing. And she said that this is the last time their family will provide such help, and from now on he will have to choose either to marry her or to hand over the military power to her family. The butler says it's a great job but warns them to be careful. She wonders what he's talking about. Reuben explains that after she moved into the outbuilding, they began to meet often, and he assumes that suddenly someone will see them. The woman suggests that he throw away these empty worries and then says that since she has changed the bedroom, She asks why not take advantage of this, since she does not understand who would be interested in the outbuilding. Penny apologizes and then tells the lady that she's already feeling sleepy. And the lady says that's why she told her to go to bed first. And the maid says that she wonders what's going on there. The main character thought that she was also curious, and as far as she remembered, the novel mentioned that Camilla and Reuben were childhood friends. In the original, Reuben knew about all of Camilla's atrocities, and under the pressure of threats from Archduke Valentine, he became a witness at the trial. And Camilla, shedding tears from betrayal, was sentenced to death. Selina thinks that she missed the second part because it was terribly boring, and therefore she wants to check whether the moments that she briefly watched are true. The maid saw the butler coming out of the outbuilding and did not understand why he was leaving the room and madam at such a late hour, and then told the mistress that he was going to bed. At this time, the main character thought about how she always wondered why she was able to kick her out of the room at any moment with the snap of a finger, but suddenly decided to stay in the outbuilding, and she thinks that anyone will understand what is going on here. The girl thought that the outbuilding was the best place to avoid prying eyes and the ideal place for a love affair. The next morning, the maid asks her mistress if she is awake yet, and then reports that she has been tossing and turning more than usual that night. Selina thought about how she was struck by the butler, and she heard about his affair and thought that he would be much more handsome. But seeing his bald spots, she doesn't understand what there is to like. The lady tells the maid not to worry as she just went to bed late. Penny asks the lady what business she came on, and Camilla tells her to get out of the way because she has business with Selina. The maid tells the lady that it is probably because she does not go out because she does not understand how skin can be so pale, and thinks that she is incredibly clean, and then explains that she means that it is unfair. The main character thought about how she came up to her and whispered something and thinks that she probably just wanted to play with the doll. After all, the maids at least once pulled Selina's hair like Shannon did last time. Penny says that she really does look like a doll and then says that's why she's so quiet and asks if dolls don't scream. Charles asks Lord Spencer if he can see what's going on. He says it's not worth it now because he's been told not to restrain the Countess. Camilla asks how the pathetic maid dared to touch her daughter and then hits her. The mistress says that if it happens again, she will cut off her wrist and asks if she understands. The maid asks to forgive her, and the mistress asks how Selina is. The girl thought that everything is fine and she just needs to pack it up and sell the dress for a higher price. But the maid tried to raise her hand to her and then replies that everything is fine. The stepmother suggests trying on another one and then asks to let her help her with the rest of the dresses. She says that even though she has very light skin, some dresses don't suit her. When Selina put on a pink dress, she looked at herself in the mirror and thought that it looked very beautiful. She believes that you first need to decide on the tone, warm or cold. The Countess asks the girl why she is so beautiful and claims that she is a real angel when she keeps her mouth shut, and then says that she is a completely stupid child. The lady says that Shannon had a jade dress and offers the maid to bring it. Hearing this, the main character does not understand what this woman has in mind. She knows that in the original, Camilla lived as Selina for 9 days, and the dressed-up girl was introduced to local officials, and the marriage turned out to be profitable and an engagement was concluded. But at a banquet on the occasion of the Empress's birthday, which took place on the eve of her wedding, she met Archduke Valentine. Camilla broke off the engagement and they replaced her with Shannon. The stepmother puts a necklace on the girl and says it goes with the dress. Shannon takes Selina's place and enters into an unhappy marriage. But soon her old husband died, and when the widowed Shannon returned to the castle, she saw Camilla, who had already killed Cedric. Mother asks Shannon if she will stay here for a while. But unfortunately, the girl had nowhere to stay, and Mother says that she has chosen a new husband for her, and he will arrive tomorrow. Shannon couldn't hate her mother, and that was the beginning of her misfortunes, thought Selina. After all, she knows that's why Barkhale was ordered to kidnap and torture her. When Selina saw the Countess, she fainted, and the maid says that the mistress must have overdone it and therefore asks if she can put her to bed. Camilla says that this has happened before. And at this time, the main character remembered that in the original story, she said that she wanted to betroth her to one of the locals, to some influential person. The lady asks Penny if she knows who the Countess wants to marry her to. She replies that it is probably a certain Count Grenson and then asks if she knows Charles. The lady asks how old he is to have such a title. The maid replies that he will be 73 this year, but that he cannot come to her because of his bad knees. Hearing this, the main character thought that this was madness, because she was 18 and they had to get married. And then she thought that the stepmother could get married herself, because she loved money so much and she didn't understand why she had to be sold. Selina thought that she had heard the name Grenson somewhere before. Selina asks the maid if her stepmother said she was going somewhere after dinner. She replies that her mistress wanted to go to tea and then asks if she wants to accompany her. The lady says that something good has come to her mind, but she does not want to go with her. The girl put her jewelry in the box and tells Penny that it is not something she is worried about. And she says that she will go to her uncle for a minute. Cedric invites the girl to go out and then asks how long it has been since they saw each other. At this time, she thought that he looks tired and works a lot, and then says that she came to tell him something. The man says that he also has something to say, and then says that he is thinking about leaving the order. The main character thought that it happened before his poisoning, but he was already leaving the Knights. She does not understand why he suddenly decided so, because she knows that Cedric, whom she knows, will die for the order. The lady asks who will be the next commander and then claims that he is irreplaceable. The man tells her not to worry and then says that there is Adrian. Hearing this, Selena was surprised and then thought that he was going to hand over all power to Camilla and make this idiot the commander, and she thought that this was complete nonsense. The girl asks her uncle if he knows what it is and then shows her jewelry. She says it is poison, and Penny found it while cleaning her mother's bedroom. The main character thought that he did not understand what she was talking about. And the uncle asked why the poison was in her bedroom. And he also wondered if there was any evidence that it was poison because he believed that people should not be suspected without reason. Cedric says that he believes her, and the girl at that time poured this poison on the flowers, and they immediately withered. She offers him to look and then claims that it is true, and even if he did not know. The uncle tells his niece to stop and then says that they say that she is very friendly, and so even if it is poison, he does not believe that she wanted to poison anyone. Hearing this, Selena was surprised and thought that he simply did not want to get involved in their relationship with her. However, even if this is so, she believes that he should be wary of Camilla. The niece says that there was a will next to Emma's body, and she gave it to Sir Patron, fearing that it would reach her mother's ears. Selena reports that her mother gave Emmy poison, and it seems that Emma was unable to drink it and jumped into the river. And thus, the Countess so easily got rid of her loyal servant and then asks who will be next. The lady says that he is the commander of the Knightly Order of the White Eagle, and Adrian is still too young. The main character looked at her uncle's hand and thought that the wound still hadn't healed. Cedric tells his niece that they will continue this conversation later and then tells her that he will soon be leaving for a few days. She asks if it is because of the barbarians. Uncle says that they have lost many of their troops, so they will not remain inactive. And the girl says that maybe they should be accepted as citizens instead of exterminated. He claims that it is not as simple as it sounds. Selena doesn't understand how he's going to ride a horse if his arm hasn't healed, and he's caught between his brother's niece and sister-in-law and decides to run away to protect this poor and dangerous territory. She wonders if her uncle is even capable of assessing the situation correctly. The girl asks Cedric if he can keep something a secret, and then she takes out a crystal. The man says, depending on what she wants to tell, and if there is a good reason, he will remain silent. She claims that he must keep it if he wants to protect her. The lady says that she is sure that he will not want to send her to the temple because of this. And at that moment, the crystal lit up. With surprise, Edric says that he never thought that she had such an ability, and then looked at his hands and saw that they were without wounds. Selena reports that thanks to her, she learned about Barkale. The man asks in surprise if this knight's name is Barkale, and then reports that no matter how much he asked, he did not answer. So he thought that he simply did not have a name. The girl asks if he has already settled into his order. Uncle replies that with his background, it is difficult for him, and he thinks that it will take time to get used to it. Cedric says that her abilities are simply amazing, and thinks that it would be a shame to keep silent about such things and not brag. At this time, the main character thought that it would be better if he listened to what she was saying and thinks that it is necessary to end today on this, since the dialogue with him does not go further anyway. Selena tells her uncle that she should leave already because it is very late. The main character saw the butler in the hallway and asks how well he knows his mother, and then says that she heard that he was her childhood friend and they have known each other since the academy. The girl asks why he stays with her until late at night, since she too almost doubted their relationship. The next morning, the maid asks her mistress if she is okay. At this time, the main character thought that this body has very weak endurance, because yesterday she walked all day and today she feels as if she did not rest at all. Penny says that her stepmother is very brave and then asks how it is possible to leave him in the bedroom. The mistress asks if she is talking about poison. Selena doesn't understand how both Cedric and Penny can be so naive, because in the original, only those who suffered at the hands of Camilla did not doubt her mask. And she knows that the Countess could not have kept poison in the bedroom. The lady says that this poison was given to her by a penny, and then asks if she has managed to forget about eternal peace, and says that she simply changed the bottle and then wonders if her stepmother is so naive. The lady says that she told her uncle that the maid found him while cleaning and then asks if she minds. The main character thought that the most true devotion comes from fear, and all the sympathy left in Penny's eyes disappeared, and in its place she is ready to do anything. Since deep faith was formed and trust arose, at this time in the Western Temple of the Monastery of Light, the priest says that when a person comes to the temple to pray, he looks quiet and chaste. There is a method that is often used even by non-religious nobles. For example, Jana Grenson, who reached marriageable age but chose to convert to faith. The girl approaches Lady Selina and screams, saying that she can't believe how long they haven't seen each other, and then hugs her and asks if she came to pray. The lady replies that she saw her and decided to talk, and Jana asks if everything is okay with her. Celine says that the Crawfords are planning a wedding, and the lady says that she also heard about it a long time ago, and says that now she understands why the letters came. Jana doesn't understand where this old man gets so much greed from, and asks if they will marry her half-sister, and then says that she is still very young. Hearing this, the main character reflects on the fact that she could not even imagine that it was her, and then says that to admit honestly, and thought that only she, as a legitimate daughter, understands what this marriage will be like. She believes that common sense should prevail. Selina informs that the Count's wife will not be the younger sister, and Jean asks in surprise if it is really her. The lady says that among the unmarried women among the Crawfords, there are not only she and Shannon, and reports that her mother also wants to get married again. The girl asks if she really liked her grandfather so much and thinks that is why she sent letters so actively. Selina reports that she said that she had admired him for a long time and heard about his great achievements, and she asks Lady Jean to pretend that she does not know all this. And the young lady says that of course she is sure that her grandfather is also happy, and she would never have thought that he had such a taste in women. The main character understands that this is good because she believes that now rumors will spread with terrible speed. She says that she is already leaving because she needs to meet someone, and if she does not come, he will wait there all day. The lady asks which is better, cute short earrings or genuine ones. On the night when news arrived of Count Grenson's visit to the residence, Camilla's puppet show reached its climax. The Countess advises her daughter to wear the earrings she likes, and then says that she is lovely with both. And the young lady says that she likes everything. The stepmother suggests that the girl go to bed early today and says that she can't let her skin get dull. She says that she is already leaving and says goodbye to her daughter, and Selina wishes her good night. Penny asks the lady in surprise if she really intends to marry that man. And the lady asks if she has completely gone crazy and says that she will be away for a short time, and therefore, if anyone asks, let them say that she is sleeping. Selina went into her sister's room and told her that it was impossible not to ask who was behind the door and just open it. Shannon asks if she has any business with her. The lady says that she went to church today, and the priest Franz asked about her well-being. He heard this girl screaming and asking if it was true. And sister claims that it is, and he said that he would like to see her next time. The main character understands that of course it's a lie, but she was so busy that she didn't even see his face. And Shannon says that she'll ask her mother if she can keep her company next time. Selina says that she also went there with permission, and her mother was not worried because Spencer was with her. Sister says that she understood her, and the main character says that it would be good if she also had an escort. William asks the lady if she has decided to visit the security post again, and says that she might attract unnecessary attention if she goes there often. The girl thanked the knight for worrying about her and believes that her makeup is to blame. After all, she wonders why he can't even look at her. William says that he will call him and then asks if there is a reason why she visits him so often. The lady replies that there is a very important reason, and the guy asks if the commander knows about it. Selina assures him that she knows about it and then asks if he thinks she comes here because she is bored. He objects and says that is not what he meant, but he thinks that if he sees a beautiful girl like her so often, he can falsely hope for something more. The lady asks if he has this feeling when he sees her. William asks what she is talking about. The girl explains that he sees her every day and asks if he should have the same feelings, and also wonders if she is mistaken and asks to tell the truth. The knight says that what she said is true and she is never wrong. At this time, the main character saw that a guy came out into the street and thought that he had been inside all this time, and noticed that he had a cigar in his hand. Barkhale asks if it turns out that torturing people is her hobby, and the lady asks in surprise where she tormented him. The guy says that it seemed to him and he will ask him later. The girl explains that William was the head of security and then became her bodyguard, and now he is doing the same and therefore she will be friendly towards him. Selena saw a cigarette and asked if he smoked and also wondered if he would share with her. The guy gave her a cigarette and she said that she didn't have a light with her. Barkale lit a cigarette with a snap of his fingers and the girl asked in surprise if he still had magic. The guy explained that it was elemental magic and he only knew how to control fire. The main character understands that in this world there are many people who can wield magic, and she sees this for the first time. The gentleman says that if others find out, there will be a fuss. And when the lady smells the cigar, she says that she doesn't want to inhale it because the smell is too strong. Selena asks what it is because she knows it doesn't smell like a regular cigar. He explains that it's wild ginseng tobacco, and they say it can erase memories. The lady asks the guy in surprise if something so serious happened that he wants to forget everything. She asks what is bothering him and if everything is okay with him. Barkale asks why she is so worried about him, and tells her that he will soon leave because he is going to go to the war that her uncle is now preparing for. The girl asks if he means the war with the barbarians. He replies that he does, and she thinks that he's crazy because he doesn't understand why he needs to go there. Cedric decided to hand over the position to Adrian, and so he went to war. Selena says that this war does not happen, and the guy says that it does not matter, because in any case, if a military conflict arises somewhere, he is obliged. The main character asks if he has forgotten that she asked him to be more careful and then claims that he made her a promise. Barkale smiled and said that she was worrying in vain about some gladiator without status. Hearing this, the girl does not understand why he draws a line between them, and she became interested in whether Shannon or Camilla came to him. Selena asks if her mother came to him and asked him to accompany Shannon. He wonders if she came to ask him about it. The lady replies that no, and he asks why then. She claims that it is all because of him and she came to see him. The knight says that it suits her and then hesitantly says face. The girl asks if he is talking about cosmetics and then thanks. Selena says that her mother is looking for a groom for her and a suitable candidate is arriving tomorrow, so she had to go to great lengths to look beautiful. The guy asks if it is not her will, and she asks if he knows who the candidate is. The young man says that it is probably some noble person worthy of her hand. The main character asks him if he has ever heard of Count Grenson, and tells him that he is 73 years old, and that her mother has set it all up because she will receive a large sum for it. After all, that is her true intention. The man asks if she is not the legitimate daughter of this family. The lady replies that this is true, and he asks then why she is forced to enter into this absurd marriage. Hearing this, the girl thought that he considered it absurd, and she was a little happy. And then she said that her father had passed away and her stepmother had become her mother, and asked if he knew about it. The guy replies that he didn't know anything. And the main character thought that since he was able to get that thing, it means he gets along with his colleagues and thinks that they told him about it and how insignificant it is. The girl asks if anyone has ever spoken about her in that way, and the man replies that he hasn't heard anything. Selena wonders what they were saying to her then. He replies that she is very beautiful and that she has a quiet voice, light green eyes and golden hair, and God obviously put a lot of effort into creating her like that. Barkale reports that much was said about her grace, attractiveness, and prettiness. The lady says that it's not like many people have met her personally because she understands that she doesn't go out often. And the guy claims that at least that's what they say. The main character thought that even though he said such awkward things to her, he himself looks calm and thinks that it is because he is from the royal family. Selena asks how he sees her and says that she is right in front of him. Lady asks how she is in his eyes. The guy replies that it's as if she's not real to him. The next day, William tells the lady that he thinks it's all because of promotion, because the more combat experience, the higher the chance of getting a promotion. Hearing this, the main character thought that the idea of going to a dangerous war arose because of the promotion, because she heard that even escorts were called up. William says that if you make a significant contribution to the victory, you may be knighted and then have the opportunity to join the Order of the White Eagle. Selena remembers the guy's words about how she was unreal to him, and he said it then with such a look that she still can't get him out of her head. The lady turns to William and says that she has a request and then asks if he will help her find the Karstark family tree for her. When the Count arrives, the lady says she is glad to see him and then says her name is Selena Crawford. He says she is a beautiful girl and he is pleased to meet her. The lady asks if they can walk in the garden. Hearing this, the mother asks if she is worried that this is the first time she personally meets Count Grenson, and then says that it would be better for her to accompany the Count on a walk in the garden. Camilla invites the Count to take a walk and then says that she will tell him everything. The main character thought that it was enough to just look into her eyes to understand everything, because she believes that from her facial expression, it is immediately clear that she is not the girl who is eager to get married. At this time, the Countess explains that this girl usually does not stutter so much, and thinks that she was probably nervous because she was in front of a big man. The man asks why there is anything to be nervous about, and then they ask if it is not normal to accept each other's shortcomings when they become a family. The woman asks what the Count thinks and wonders if he likes their Selina. He replies that of course she is beautiful, and then thanks her for her courage and asks if it is okay if he calls her by her name, Camilla. The Count says that for him, the sooner the better, and he talks about marriage. The Countess says that she is worried that everything is happening so quickly, but in fact, as a mother, she wanted to choose a groom the same age as her. Camilla reports that her daughter turned out to be so determined and said that she would really like to marry an older man, and then asks how she can refuse her. The woman asks if he also likes to marry a young and beautiful girl for the second time, and asks if her daughter is not beautiful, because she thinks that she is certainly the most chaste girl. A man asks Mrs. Crawford if she really wants to marry her daughter to him. She says yes, and then asks what the point of these questions is. Hearing this, the Count cries out and asks what kind of nonsense this is, and then wonders how he can marry such a young lady since he thinks she is old enough to be his granddaughter. The man claims that she was clear in that letter because she said that she had one wonderful woman, and he thought that since she was a woman, she was closer to him in age. Hearing this, the Countess does not understand who is being talked about, and he asks if there is anyone else besides her, and also wonders if it wasn't her that was being talked about. Camilla thought that he had her in mind all this time and didn't understand how he dared. The gentleman asks why she expressed herself so strangely in the letter, saying that she needs to get married again in order to live like a human being. Hearing this, Camilla thought that she would never in her life, even if they put a knife to her throat, and she believed that he had definitely gone crazy because she was only 35 and still so young. The Count asks what she wanted to say then. The woman thought that he had senile dementia and did not understand how he dared to ruin her plans, and thought that he was a crazy old man, and then she quickly ran away. The man asks where Mrs. Crawford is going. He asks her to wait because it is hard for him to walk alone, but the woman seems not to hear him and quickly runs away. A few days later, the main character asks the maid if he went hunting again. She replies that she was told so. After that meeting, Camilla fell ill for several days and Cedric suddenly left the castle when he was so needed, and the main character thinks that this is so irresponsible. After the day Camilla ran away, leaving the Count Grenson, the family's marriage negotiations naturally ceased. It was a great blow to the stepmother that the Count perceived her as a peer, but the greatest blow was still the unilateral termination of the 100-year farm contract. Farming contracts were one of the Crawford family's main sources of income. The family, which had no labor force, loaned the Granson family some of their fertile land in exchange for half of the crop. Thus, the Crawford family killed two birds with one stone, providing themselves with both tax deductions and a harvest. Well, now that the contract was broken, the main character thought that Cedric would need to somehow fix it. The girl wondered about the butler and whether he had also left. Penny explains that after her mother fell ill, the butler also said that he would leave for a couple of days because his father was ill. Selina says that he even hid behind his father. The maid asks who the flower pot is for, and the lady replies that it is for the high priest. By that time, Franz had become a real celebrity in the residence, and the reason for this was a little special. Shannon says that thanks to the priest, she found faith in the Almighty. After all, her faith was as insignificant as dust on a grain of rice, but she suddenly became a desperate believer, which made everyone around her hate her. Penny asks if she's going to let Charles do it. The lady tells him to come see her in a few days. The main character thought that the reason why Camilla is now behaving like this and not even looking at Cedric is that she is going to finish him off in the near future. Selina. When she came to visit her uncle, she said that he looked bad, and at that time she thought that he was trying to stay calm and thought that in any case he could be understood. Although Cedric finally returned, the situation turned out to be quite difficult. Moreover, Camilla, who was supposed to explain this, left the castle and went hunting. The young lady understands that it is good that he did not just give up and run away, but she wonders how long he will last. The uncle asks the girl if she is stuttering again and says that, according to William, Camilla treated her cruelly while he was away. Selina says that she usually doesn't stutter, but in front of her mother, it's as if she can't control it, and she knows that her bones still ache on a rainy day. But as he said, she probably tried for her because she thinks that her stepmother couldn't have tormented her on purpose. At this time, the main character thought that now he pretends that he cares about it, although earlier he was ready to turn a blind eye to the violence against her. But he believes that his concern will not change anything, since in her reality there were also such people, and she hates this type of people the most. The girl wonders how long he plans to hesitate. At night, Penny asks the lady if she is going to meet that man. The lady replies that she is, and the maid asks if he scares her. The lady says that he is not scary at all, and the maid suggests that she should still be careful because this man is a former gladiator, and he spent a lot of time among real scum. At this time, the main character thought that it was not so at all, because he had just killed most of them, which is why he was locked up in the isolation ward alone. But she thought it was better not to tell her about it. Penny says that besides, the lady goes out at night so often that she can be judged for it. The lady says that she knows this, but thinks that everything is fine and suggests that she not worry. The maid claims that she has everything under control and she is happy for her mistress. Selina and William headed to the place they often visited. She tells the knight that she knows everything and suggests that he not worry. And at that time, she thought that they were now in the very center of their residence, and thought that it would be strange if she did not notice him, and it is surprising that he only just now caught up with her. William says that he understood her and then left, and when the girl lit up the lantern, she saw a bark-hail. He suggests that they talk inside today. The girl thought that their conversation would not be heard from the street if they did not speak loudly. He offers her to move, and the lady asks if he is uncomfortable sitting on the boxes after the isolation ward. Selina says that his hair has grown so much and then touches his head and asks why he smells so good. Barkhale claims that she smells like that too. She says that she is a countess and that is why she is supposed to. He says that it would be strange if he did not observe hygiene at all. Selina tells the guy to undress. Hearing this, he looked at her in surprise. The main character asks if he still continues to talk nonsense about participating in the war, and therefore she will have to check from time to time whether his body is okay. The guy asks why this nonsense and then says that she knows that guarding the borders is still a pretty easy job. The girl asks why he refuses her and rushes into battle. And when the young man undressed, he smiled and she asked if she had just said something funny and suggested that he not laugh. Barkhale asks if he can't smile whenever he wants. And the lady claims that he can't because she healed him when he was dying and claims that this body belongs to her and also wonders if she is right. Barkhale agrees with the lady and says that it is hers. Suddenly, they heard someone knocking on the door, and the lady says that they were not expecting anyone and thinks that it might be the wind. Selina asks if he liked the name she gave him, and at that time, she thought that, to be honest, it wasn't she who gave him this name, because she heard it from the raven. And then she says that he owes her both his name and his healthy body, and that's why she claims that he is completely hers. The girl asks him if he likes this tattoo. He replies that he doesn't really because he thinks it doesn't look very good. The lady knows that this tattoo denigrates him as a person, because in fact, he alone saved Cedric and the knights during the attack, and understands that for such an act he should have been knighted, but he could not join the knights. And the reason why he also could not go to the Count's castle was this tattoo, which had meaning precisely because of his origin. The main character asks if there is no reason to keep it, then why doesn't he get rid of it? He suggests doing it himself. The lady asks in surprise what he is talking about, and the guy heats up the iron. The lady asks in surprise if he is going to burn her and thinks that in no case should he remove her in such an inhumane way. Barkhale asks if there are other ways. She says that even if there are no other ways, it is still not worth it because it hurts. The girl says that she cannot do this because she has never done this before. And the guy reminds her that she said that he is hers and gives her an instrument and asks her to brand him with it. Selina says that this is his body, and he offers to do it because this way she will better remember that he is hers. The main character realizes that he offered to do it to her and then branded him and thinks that he is crazy because it hurts. She reflects that it was not necessary to leave such a scar. The girl thought that if she had a magic stone, she could heal him, because she understands that then the pain would quickly go away and there would be no scars left on her body, and she believes that she needs to heal him. When the lady looked into the pocket of her cloak, she thought that she had forgotten this crystal in the room, and then asked the guy to wait because she would return quickly. Barkhale says that there is no need to leave, and the lady says that he is wounded, but he interrupts her and asks her not to leave. Selina thought that he was saying this because she hadn't come for a long time, and then he said that if he wasn't helped now, a scar would remain. Or rather, not a scar, but a brand. The guy asks if she is scared. The lady replies that everything is fine, and he says that there is no turning back. The main character claims that she is not afraid, and she just wants him to finally start living a free life. The lady says that that tattoo could prevent him from enjoying freedom because he began to communicate with people. And this is important because one day he will even get married. The guy tells her not to talk nonsense and asks why the freedom of such an insignificant person like him even bothers her. He wonders why the Countess is so sympathetic to an ordinary employee and thinks that she treats him as if he doesn't know something about his origin and as if they are equals. Hearing this, the main character thought that he was a member of the royal family of Barhale. Castark and she do not understand how it happened that they met by chance. The next day, the maid informs the mistress that her mother has arrived, and then explains that the master was so angry that she had to return. Selena says that her uncle continues to drink, and Penny says that her father is also very worried. The main character realizes that her maid grew up in a brewery. The lady asks if she is sure he can handle the orders because she knows there are more of them this year. The maid wonders if her mother has come to apologize to the Granson family. Hearing this, the mistress thinks that Penny still does not understand her true motives because she thinks that she is definitely not one of the good-natured people. The lady says that the maid had better go and get her uncle because she has something to say. Selena thought that now the Pennies were following her orders very well, and she even felt like a little bitch. The main character invites Charles to come in and then asks if he noticed anything unusual. The boy replies that nothing unusual and then says that her mother just returned from hunting again and therefore is quiet for now, and says that she also took a butler there. The lady says that it is in her spirit. She thought about how lately Charles has been following her orders, looking after people she is interested in. Anyone, no matter if it is a cook, Cedric's assistant, or just a servant. The girl is afraid that Cedric might be poisoned. And after dinner, served on the eve of the engagement with Count Grenson, he must fall into eternal sleep because Camilla put poison in the food. She understands that, of course, this is according to the plot of the original novel. The lady understands that after the engagement was broken off, the gala dinner did not take place, and she has no idea when she will decide to act and finish him off, because she knows that Camilla has too many allies. Selena thought that Cedric would die anyway, and his good-natured character would be to blame. She turns to the boy and says that they will continue this conversation another time because she will soon have a guest. While in her room, the main character realizes that no matter how much she thinks about it, she is still very worried that her uncle might soon be poisoned, and she doesn't know how he cannot even suspect this Camilla. Suddenly, the girl heard William talking about how he was guarding the lady by order of Captain Cedric, and he could not let the lady go alone without his consent. The man asks the knight if he thinks the Crawford family butler is joking with him, but William claims that he can't help him. Robert screams and asks if he should call the guards, and he replies that he can call if he wants. At this time, the main character peeked and thought that it was not necessary to take out the sword. Selena opens the door and leaves the room and says that it is even interesting what brought them here. The Countess asks if she could talk to her alone, and the daughter replies that she can. When the girl came to her stepmother's room, the maids grabbed her. The woman asks if this was the reason why she went to the monastery. The daughter asks what she is talking about, and Camilla claims that she seduced a man there, and in addition, she dared to go even further and drag this bastard into her estate, and then claims that this is an abomination. The Countess asks where she learned such dirty things because she thinks that she was definitely raised differently. The stepmother claims that she is talking about the same scumbag she visits every evening, because she knows that they have arranged regular intimate dates at the security post. Camilla screams and says that she is such a grown woman and also shameless, and because of her vulgar behavior, the marriage proposals are now canceled. The main character understands that she came to blame her for the cancellation of the engagement and believes that there is a limit to everything, and these accusations are also terribly unfair. She thought about how she would like to kiss him at least once. The woman offers to confess and then asks how long ago she planned to seduce him and escape from home. The girl objects and says that she never even thought about it. Camilla claims that in any case, she believes that she has tarnished the family's honor and therefore must be punished. Selena looked at the whip and thought about hitting her quickly because if Cedric saw it, it would be just perfect. The Countess orders the maids to touch her skirt and then says that because of her dissolute behavior, they have had a falling out with the Grenson family and asks if she shouldn't pay for it. Camilla says that she thinks 20 blows will be enough. Hearing this, the girl was surprised and she does not understand where the uncle is. When the young lady felt the pain, she thought that she would not be able to stand it for so long because she understood that there was no caviar in sight, and she needed at least a slap. She did not understand whether Cedric was going to come and kept looking at the door. Selena became curious about why he was so late, and she asked him to come quickly because he should be there in time. The maid tells the lady to stand still because this is a punishment. But the girl starts to twitch and the maid slaps her so hard that the lady falls to the floor. At this time, Adrian entered the room and looked at his sister in surprise. When the main character found herself in bed, she thought that she must have lost consciousness and her body still hurt. She noticed that someone was sitting next to her bed, and when she raised herself up a little, she saw her stepbrother. The guy asks if she is awake. Milady remembered that just before she fainted, she saw him, and she wondered when he managed to return. The gentleman asks his sister how she feels and if she is better. The girl answers that she is fine, and at that time she thought that she does not understand why he is in her room at this time and what Camilla is doing. Selena thinks that she passed out after she was beaten, and she doesn't know what happened next and thinks that's how Cedric ended up seeing that scene. Adrian says that he was very worried because she lay like that for 2 days. Hearing this, the lady was surprised and she wondered if he was next to her all this time, and she wanted him to leave finally. Milady asks if he can call Penny. And the young man asks his sister if she is disgusted to look at him. He is interested in all this because of his mother, because she is now so cold to him because of her. The guy says that he also hates the fact that this woman is his biological parent. Hearing this, the girl asks in surprise what he is talking about, and therefore thinks that he must be tired, and explains that she just wants him to call Penny, and she just wants to be alone. Adrian says that the Penny is with Mr. Crawford for now, but will be here soon. He suggests calling him if she needs something urgently because he thinks that the girl is uncomfortable because of him, and that's why he is already leaving. The main character thought that Adrian no longer doubted her. She remembers that last time she asked Penny, and she confirmed that she and Adrian were reunited only after 5 years. Adrian stopped at the door and asked his sister if what his mother said was true or not, that she was with some guy. He said that his mother probably made up some nonsense just to blame her. The guy asks if this is all true. She agrees with him and says that it is all not true. Hearing this, the guy is happy and says that he knew because he thinks that she could not just get close to some strange person and suggests that she take a rest. Selena thought that for a moment she became scared because she thought that now she would not get rid of him so easily. The maid asks the mistress how she feels and then says that her cheek is also swollen. The lady assures that it is nothing to worry about as she is already fine, and then asks what is wrong with her mother. Penny explains that the lady is now on probation, and the gentleman called her and began asking if she was often beaten. The maid says that he said that when she wakes up, she will have to apologize to the girl. Hearing this, the main character thought that Cedric had finally decided to open his mouth and believed that he was still useful. Penny says that she was also worried that the relationship between her and the lady might be misunderstood, but the gentleman insisted on his own, and they say that he even scolded her. The maid asks the mistress what she said to the master. Cedric asks the countess how she could do this, because he believes that raising a hand to a child is unthinkable. The woman explains that it is normal for a mother to punish her child for his misdeeds, and she thinks that this is just a ridiculous misunderstanding. And then she says that he just doesn't know, but Selena has already gotten into the habit of going to the man every night and then says that they are having a secret affair. Camilla says that she thinks that a noble lady should not behave so viciously. She says that she knows that the girl met him in the temple, and she also brought him home, and she is sickened even to talk about such shamelessness. Hearing this, Cedric smiled and asked what kind of nonsense she was talking about. He screamed and said that Selena was categorically against him being taken into the residence at all, and she only went out to meet him at his personal request. Camilla was surprised to hear this. And the man claims that he is a talented person with outstanding military abilities, but he has records of his exclusion from the Holy Knights. The Countess asks if he is not just a slave and thinks that the Holy Knights are serious. Cedric says that he is a benefactor who saved his life, and therefore he would very much like to initiate him into the Knights of the White Eagle. The man says that Selena even stopped him a couple of times because she believed that if they accepted a conflict-prone person, there could be discord with the church. Cedric explains that this is why she later went to him to ask for forgiveness for this, and he claims that it was not a secret affair. The gentleman says that it was he who asked her to help convince him to stay with them, and Selena met with him at his request because he himself sent her there because he wanted to convince him to apologize in the temple, and that was his goal. Camilla asks how he could send her Selena to such a ragamuffin. Cedric claims that he has never seen a woman beaten and then asks how she even raised her hand. The Countess asks how he can know his true intentions and then says that her fragile little one. And the gentleman says that he dares to remind that she beat this fragile and tender Selena until she lost consciousness. The woman asks why he was expelled from the Holy Knights. He answers that he heard that the guy refused their training, but he thinks that now it is not so important. Cedric claims that she questioned her daughter's chastity without even checking the facts, and she was kept until she fainted and then asks if she still calls this part of the educational process. Camilla claims that if such rumors start spreading about her, they will never marry her off. The man says he wanted to know if she had chosen Count Grenson as Selena's fiancé. She replies that the situation in the territories was not particularly favorable and thinks they should at least marry Shannon to him. The gentleman says that she is only 17 and asks how it is possible to marry her off to a 70-year-old man. And the woman asks if he thinks that she did not care, and then says that her heart was breaking at the very thought of the big difference in age. Camilla reports that she cried every time imagining how to leave her daughter, and in that sad situation when the Count came to look at the farm, she was like that, and he can't even imagine how shocked she was. The Countess says that he said that he needed money, but her father is adamant and will not give her another penny, and then asks what she should have done. The woman tells him to give Adrian the Order of the White Eagle, or take her as his wife, since this is a condition for helping. She claims that he must choose one of the two. Cedric says that although she knows this, the Knightly Order of the White Eagle was founded by their family and has a long history, and then asks how he can transfer it under the control of another family. The man asks how he can get married again because he thinks that this is definitely out of the question. The woman says that then she cannot give an answer to her father, because he said that he no longer wants to invest in vain. Since these are not his problems, and why should he help them? Cedric tells the Countess that he has only one request, that she should never harm Selena again for anything in the world. Camila says that it was a misunderstanding, and as soon as Selena wakes up, she will immediately apologize to her. And then she says that it is fair that for her actions, she will be given a probationary period. At this time, the woman thought about whether Cedric thought that he would get away with all this, and she thought that if she couldn't get anything from him, then it would be better to do it differently. William asks the lady if he can come in. She invites him in and asks if he brought what she asked for. The knight says that this is the genealogy of the kingdom of Karstark, and it is 2 volumes. The lady asks why the second book is so old. William explains that they say it contains information that an informant wrote down during the war. The girl is surprised and says that it was difficult to find. The guy explains that these books are top secret, and the lady thanks him. The man says that he is glad to help her and then touches her hand and says that she has done him the honor of serving her, and he is grateful for that. At this time, the main character thought that he had already thanked her before, but he didn't understand why he had to kneel down, and she thought that they seemed to be in a moment that they like to depict in paintings. Selena says that she is also very grateful to him. The kingdom and the empire continued to clash over religious issues and wage wars. The last war was over, and then the kingdom suddenly proposed a truce. Barkhail came from. She understands that it is difficult to read because everything is written in italics. The girl heard someone knocking on her room door, and she wondered who needed her at such a time. And then she quickly hid the books. The man says that it seems that the lady is sleeping and the gentleman is asking to open the door for him. And when he entered the room, he says that he knew that she was not sleeping. Adrian turns to his sister, and at that time, she thought that it was him again. The guy says that the moonlight is pouring in from the window and asks to read him a book because he can't sleep. Hearing this, the main character doesn't understand that he's still in his right mind. The girl remembers that she read that in the middle of the night, someone knocked on Selena's bedroom door, and it was Adrian who had returned to the estate on his vacation. He handed her a book and pouted and said as if he were a child. Selena knows that a similar episode occurred in the original, but there is a huge difference in atmosphere between the written version and reality. The lady asks how he got into her. He replies that it was easy, and the girl asks what he means, and at that time she thought about whether she shouldn't at least ask her permission. The guy asks his sister to sit down next to him, and she stutters and asks if he could leave. And then she insists that he quickly get up from her bed because she will scream if he does not leave. Adrian calls her sister and says that she still hates him, and then asks if it is because of Togo, because he is an illegitimate child who does not even know his father. And also asks if she still does not like this fact. Hearing this, the main character thought that it was confusing whether Selena was close to him or not, and she wondered when she began to hate him for this. The lady recalls that he definitely said that they often spent time together, and he even asked to kiss him. The guy says that she behaved differently as a child. Selena recalls that she tried not to get too close to him, and she became curious about what was between them. The girl thinks that it is difficult because she understands that first she needs to deal with him. Milady says that if Mother finds out, she will scold her, and the guy asks if Mother doesn't find out, then he can be together with her. The lady asks if he really doesn't understand, and then tells him that she doesn't want him to continue. She pushes him and tells him to go away and not come to her again. Adrian says that he came because he thought that she would praise him for the maids for what they did to her face then, and then says that he drove them away. But not just that. He forbade them from even setting foot on the Western Territories, and then claims that she will never see them again. The guy says that he is not a child anymore, and if someone bothers her, he will not leave it like that any longer. At this time, the main character thought about who was bothering her right now. The young man claims that he can do anything for her and asks if she understands it. And at that moment, she thought that she doesn't want to know anything. Selena says that if he can really do anything for her, then he shouldn't come at such a late hour anymore. He says that he understands her. The girl offers to take the book and then says that she will take him there. William asks the lady if she is awake and then apologizes because he should have notified her of the visit first as she was asleep. Then he explains that the gentleman said everything was fine. The lady says that she was just surprised and then suggests that next time he be sure to tell her. Adrian asks his sister why she is even talking so nicely to an idiot and then asks if the two of them are close. The guy tells the knight to quickly answer whether they are close. At this time, the main character does not understand why he is behaving so strangely and then asks why he is talking like that. The young gentleman wonders if it's really worth calling him an idiot instead of his name and then asks if he'll answer what's going on with his sister. Selena says that they are just acquaintances and he is her escort whom she sees every day. The gentleman asks what kind of escort he is, that he opened the door without the lady's permission. The girl says that he asked for it himself, but the brother claims that she doesn't need such a knight for free. He grabs him by the chest and asks if he's wrong. The knight says that the master misunderstood because he is still the mistress's family, and then asks how he can hinder the mistress's own brother. Hearing this, Adrian was surprised and then ordered him to shut his mouth before he finished him off, and asked what he knew and did not understand how such a moron even got into security. Selena thought that in the original, Benjamin commanded Selena and put her in the carriage. The next day, the Countess turns to the girl and says that she misunderstood her, and then says that she crossed all boundaries and therefore asks for forgiveness. The woman says that she still tried for her sake and then asks if she could take better care of her than she did. The girl tells her mother that only she will take good care of her and then claims that everything is fine. Camilla claims that she is her mother and is worried about her and then asks if she knows about it. Hearing this, the main character does not understand how people can pretend so skillfully and thinks that it irritates her. She would like her uncle to come to his senses and look at everything more carefully. Camilla suggests her daughter to rest and then leaves. Penny asks the lady if she heard the news and then says that a letter has arrived from Mr. Rover with an offer to draw in the fresh air. The maid says that while her mother is on probation, she will not be able to go there and asks if that is true. Then she says that all the famous artists are invited and this is a banquet in their honor. Penny says that it's been a while since the last one. And the main character asks if she should ask her uncle to do some sketches in nature. The maid asks if she wants to help her mother, and the mistress says that she can't miss such a chance. In the evening, it was raining outside, and the maid asks the mistress if she will go to meet him again. Penny asks the lady to be careful. Selena claims that everything will be fine. On the way, the lady says that she thinks that there is someone there, and at that time she thought about whether it was Camilla who came first. The man says that he heard that he is on patrol and that he is a good man. That even in such weather, however, he believes that it is still his job and that the safety of the estate cannot be neglected for a moment, no matter what the weather is. The lady says that she is grateful to William that he is with her, and then asks if he could call him. The man says that he will do so, and she says that in the meantime she will look for a place to hide from the rain. Selena thought that despite the fact that it was raining so heavily, it was not collecting into puddles, and she understood that whoever did the drainage was a good man. Suddenly, the girl heard a voice asking why she was getting wet in the rain. The knight asked the lady what brought her here today. The main character looked at this man and thought that she could not take her eyes off his face because the bark hail became even more beautiful in the rain. The lady asks what kind of Lady Crawford she is to him and then wonders if that's what he calls her. She thinks about how hard it is to hear because of the rain and suggests that they change places. The girl says he knows her name. And the guy says she shouldn't let just anyone call her by her name. The lady says he's not just anyone. Selena says she understands and then asks if he wanted to hear it from her. The man says that he cannot casually call a woman by her name without her express permission. Hearing this, she thinks that this is all because he is of royal blood and he knows palace manners well. The guy asks her if she is cold, and she replies that she is frozen. He asks why she is standing outside and why she doesn't go inside. The girl says that she thinks that her mother has come to see him and she is waiting at the security post. Hearing this, he is surprised, and the lady explains that she has talked a lot about him. The main character says that in fact she just needs something from him, and that is her nature, and then suggests that perhaps the Countess will ask him to become a knight to accompany her half-sister Shannon. Selena says that she came here several times and stepmother thinks that she is hiding something. Barkale asks if it caused trouble. She says that it did, but she managed to find an excuse. The girl says that her uncle wanted him to join the Knights, but he didn't want to apologize to the temple, and she was asked to convince him. And for this, she went to him then. The guy asks in surprise if Mr. Crawford really gave her this task and then asks why she didn't tell him anything about it. The lady claims that he hates temples and holy knights, and then says that in fact many criticize them for being too fanatical, and she cannot ask him to do such a thing. When the girl took off her hood, the man asks if he thinks she was beaten and then touches her face. He wonders who did it and who dared to touch her. Selena stood in front of the guy and asked where he was going. He said what was wrong and then claimed that she couldn't do it with that face because he just wanted to kill the one who dared to do this to her right now. The main character suggests that he forget about revenge for her and then says that she can do it, but not in this way. The lady says that she wants to return to Barkale everything that rightfully belongs to him, and that is freedom, his name and family. And no matter what happens, Camilla cannot be finished off. Selena says that she is still going to sue her soon because she has done a lot and does not plan to stop there. But if he kills her in a fit of anger, then her plan will fall apart. The lady claims that in this case, she will be able to leave the Crawford family only by resorting to marriage, and she will be sold to a stranger like a cow, and she will have to sleep with him against her will and raise his children, but she really does not want this outcome. Barkale asks how he can help her. She says that first he must listen to what his mother tells him and then convey her words to her. The guy asks in surprise if this is all, and the lady claims that for now that's all. The young man asks if this happens to her often. She replies that it doesn't happen often, and that her stepmother hit her in anger because the engagement fell through. He asks if it's because of him. Hearing this, the main character thought that he had some strange sense of humor, and in any case, their connection would become obvious. She says that the rain does not stop and offers to hide from it. Selena asks if he heard about her engagement. Barkale tells him that everyone was saying that she was blinding them in a coral dress. She says that she did wear a coral dress that day. The guy offers to show him the wound, but she objects and says she doesn't want to. The man claims that she herself has seen him wounded many times and then asks why he can't be shown. At this time, the main character thought that she had definitely seen his weak side, both physically and mentally, and agreed to remove the veil from her face because she believed that if he showed it to me, it would be unfair. Barkale asks in surprise how she could do this to her, and then asks if the stepmother personally hit her. The girl says that she ordered the maids, and he asks her to name them. The lady says she doesn't know their names and they've already left the estate, and then says her legs got even worse because she was spanked. She asks if he wants to show her, and the guy objects and says that he doesn't want to watch. Having heard this, the girl smiled and he asks what's funny. The lady explains that his reaction is of course funny. And then she says that she can heal with magic stones and asks if he has forgotten. The young master says that she was beaten even more severely than the servant, and he has already seen enough. Selena says that every time he gets angry, let him remember what he saw and asks him to help her take revenge on her own, because she doesn't want him to ruin all her plans, because one fool is enough for her. Barkale asks who she is talking about, and the girl replies that there is one who likes her and he does not listen to what she tells him, and only bothers her. The lady says that she is already tired of him, and at this time the guy covers her with his cloak. She asks what happened, and the man tells her to be quiet and quickly hide under the cloak. The main character asks what's wrong and asks to let her go. And at that time, she thought about how before he said that, you can't just call a woman's name like that. And now he hugs her without asking. Suddenly, the lady saw Camilla and thought that she had already left the guard post. But because of the noise of the rain, she didn't even notice and thought that it was a disaster because her mother saw her. Selena understands that if she is caught, she will be at a disadvantage during the trial. The butler asks the man if he heard someone speaking to him and then asks how he dares to remain silent. The lady suggests that Reuben be quieter and tells the guy that he turned out to be better than she imagined and calls him handsome. Camilla asks if he is the same slave who took part in the battles and says that it is a pity about his face. She asks if he decided to play the silent game because she is sure that it is not that he does not understand her. Hearing this, the main character thought that she was even speaking disgustingly. And at that time, she felt his hand on her waist and thought that he shouldn't lose his temper because she understands his feelings, but thought that now she needs to be patient. The guy says he's a Barkale, and the butler claims that there's no respect in his eyes. Camilla approaches the guy and says that she likes him and thinks that it would even be interesting to tame a dog like him. The woman reports that her daughter asked to introduce a knight to her and asks if he would like to work as an escort for a noble lady. At this time, the main character thought that finally the events coincided with the original, but she became interested in how Barkhale would act. The lady says that his origin is not important because she is able to make him a knight because she is going to become the ruler of the western part, and therefore suggests that he better become her man. Camilla claims that she will give him a chance to become famous. Reuben screams and asks how he dares to ignore the words of the mistress. Barkhale says he will think about her offer. And the woman says that he is so sweetly evading the answer, and then says that soon he himself will crawl to her. Selena sighed with relief since the lady had already left and thought that they had almost been caught. Mother suggests that the butler wait and then asks why this place smells of Selena, and thinks that she is definitely somewhere here, and then asks the guy if he met her again. Hearing this, the main character does not understand what she is talking about at all, since it is raining now and she is wondering how the stepmother smelled her. The countess says that her daughter is beautiful and asks if it is true, and then says that she feels sorry for this girl and again asks what he thinks and if he wants her. Camilla says that if he becomes her man, she will give him the opportunity to take Selena. Barkhale says that her joke went too far. Hearing this, the woman smiles and says that she is glad because she just imagined his feelings for her, but she understands that now her anxiety has disappeared. The girl thought about how she had agreed to make it look like a joke and thought it was strange that she didn't even feel like she was angry. Camilla says that this child is the most beautiful treasure she has, and no hand should dare touch her without due payment, and therefore suggests that she make a note of it. Selena asks the guy if he can let her go, and he says that he has a question and wonders since when this woman started raising her. The girl replies that she has been living like this since she was 11 years old, and he says that means she has been living like this for 7 years and asks why Lord Crawford turns a blind eye to this. The main character explains that her uncle is busy because he only cares about the knightly order. And the guy says that apparently he is not in his right mind since he allows such things, and thinks that there is no point in listening to such shameless people. Barkhale says that if she hadn't stopped him, he would have torn out this woman's tongue, and he feels sorry that he has to spare such a vile person, instead of tearing off his limbs and feeding them to dogs. Selena interrupts him and asks if he is trying to comfort her now. And at that moment, she thought that this is really comforting, and then says that he is clearly shocked by the appearance of his mother, and therefore there is no need to try so hard to calm her down since she is used to it. The man says he is sorry he can't do it properly and then apologizes. And at that time, the lady thought that even he feels sorry for her. However, he understands that she was subjected to violence and extreme cruelty for 7 years, and she even began to stutter because of her stepmother. The main character knows that out of desperation, she even decides to commit suicide as a result. She thinks that she just needs to wait because she will take revenge for her in full. Barkhale asks if her clothes are dry. She replies that the cloak was made of thick fabrics, so she was not very wet overall. However, she wonders how her stepmother sensed that she was there and asks if her smell is that strong. The girl says that she didn't even think that she smelled special. And the guy comes closer to her and says that her scent is definitely special, and at that time he thought about how on their first night, he felt how special he was. The man tells the lady that everything about her is special, and says that no one will dare to touch her again and then swears to it. Selena looked at the guy and thought that you wouldn't see such a look on every man, and she wondered what kind of person he was. When the lady returned home, she immediately began to read, and although she found his family tree, his name was not in it, and she began to wonder if she had made a mistake. Suddenly, the girl saw that there seemed to be one person with a similar name. The maid asks the mistress in surprise when she arrived, and the lady asks Penny how she slept. Penny says that it seems that Milady has not slept. Selena explains that she got one dog, cute, funny, and similar to a retriever, and in truth, he turned out to be even more similar to a Doberman. But however, she still hoped that he was just a retriever. The main character says that yesterday, seeing that look in his eyes, she immediately realized that she had picked up not a retriever or a Doberman, but a crazy wolf. Belter Genoech Karstark. He was the great duke of the realm. He was even called the Steel Lord. But the lady was only looking for blood relatives of the royal family, a man who lost his memory and wandered like a slave in an enemy country, and Selena could not even imagine that he could turn out to be the king himself. Even Cedric, who had been on the same battlefield with Barkhale, did not suspect this, and he was probably simply surprised by his abilities, not imagining who Barkhale really was. Fortunately, in this book, Balter's name is mentioned from the first chapter, and he disappeared 5 years ago. And the girl believes that this coincides with the appearance of Barkale on their territory. Due to the absence of the king, the kingdom had to stop the war that promised victory. The truce between the Empire and the kingdom happened about 5 years ago. In exchange for a truce, the Empire recognized the current monarch of the kingdom as king. In fact, that kingdom is now a state without a true king. The main character realizes that the man who is known as the king is sitting right here. Selena has been up all night to read all the information she knows, and now she is sure about the Barkale. For 3 good reasons. Firstly, Walter Heinrich has worn a helmet since childhood, because he took part in the war from a young age. It was a helmet made of steel with horns, and they say that he wore it so often that he received the nickname of the Steel Lord. And in his youth, he was a beautiful boy. But the lady does not understand why there were rumors that he continued to wear the helmet because of his terrible face. They say that he didn't take it off even in the presence of his comrades. That's why there were so few people who saw his face, and Cedric was one of them, and he could simply not recognize Barkale. The next reason in the original is that he somehow tells Shannon to go with him to the kingdom. And the lady wondered if this meant that there was more than just hospitality waiting in the kingdom. The last reason is the simplest. There is not a single person left alive with the last name Castark. And judging by the family tree, he should have 6 half-brothers. But they were all killed 8 years ago. And this is the work of Balter Heinrich. Besides this, there were other similar cases, and history says that he waged a war of conquest and exterminated all possible candidates for the throne. Selena thought that she was damn tired and thought that he was a tyrant, but she also thought that at first she even felt sorry for him. Then she started coming to him out of interest, but she thought that he could have easily teamed up with Shannon and tortured her along with her. The girl thought that because of this thought, she wanted to make him her person, and she does not understand how this could happen. The lady believes that it was necessary to avoid this slave, who also turned out to be the ruler of a neighboring kingdom. The main character recalls that in the original, Barkale did not like Selena, and he never showed any special feelings for her. She reflects on the fact that the guy definitely should not go down the path of obsession, kidnapping, dungeon, like other members of Selena's harem. The girl became interested in why he did not fall in love with Selena because he understands that she herself is an incredible beauty, and all the men of the world could not take their eyes off her. The main character does not understand why Barkale did not fall under her spell and assumes that it is because he fell in love with Shannon at first sight. However, she understands that she needs to sleep, and tomorrow she will figure everything out. The lady realizes that her head hurt so much that she could not sleep, and so she worried about this and that all morning and decided that when the morning came, she should go to her office. Selena went to the library and found a book about Karstark and read that he was originally a descendant of the monarch of the empire. The kingdom was a small state, so it was easy to determine who would win the war. However, Balter Heinrich suddenly brought victory to his kingdom, and the lady realized that he was called Barkale in childhood. He said that this name was given to him by his grandfather, and he is the only son of his family who received the name from his grandfather. So since he became the crown prince, he began to participate in campaigns and wars with his father, but at some point Barkale returned and finished off his brothers and took the throne. Selena wonders why there is so little said about his women. She thinks that it is impossible for such a ruler not to have a wife, because she understands that when states need to unite, they all use marriages. The main character understands that it is not for nothing that this is called a marriage of convenience and assumes that maybe he already has a child. The lady thinks that he is a tyrant warmonger who has no interest in the opposite sex because there are rumors about his ugliness, but in fact no one has seen the face of this powerful man. She thinks that he is a very typical male character among them. However, the girl does not understand why such a man is only a secondary character and not the main character. The maid tells the lady that the master was looking for her to have dinner with her and then asks if she is okay. Milady replies that she is completely fine, and at that time she thought that her main problem is not Barkale, and she thinks that for now there is another headache. Selena thought about the tyrant starting wars and all this in the past, and now he is a different person. In the original's ending, Barkale reveals his name as Shannon and returns to the kingdom because his memories return. The main character does not know how he remembers everything because he was not told about it, and therefore she has good reasons why she wants his memory to return. The lady understands that if he remembers who he was, he will no longer be interested in Selena because he is the king. And then she will leave for the capital and he will return to his kingdom and they will naturally part. Selena reflects that until then she should have a good time. While sitting at the meal, the main character thought that Cedric had no brains at all, because she didn't understand how he even thought of seating Camilla opposite her. The stepmother tells the girl that they say he has arrived at the temple after all. Milady asks if she is talking about Barkhale, and at this time she does not understand how he is going to get along with these fanatics because she is worried about him. Selena asks if he has joined the Knights. Uncle replies that he has, and he is now part of their order, and thanks to such a talented guy, the fighting spirit will clearly grow. Camilla asks if they are going to continue discussing these boring things over food, and then suggests that her daughter should instead tell him how her health is. The girl thanks for her concern, and her mother says that if she gets sick somewhere, she should come to her because she will give her medicine. Selena thought about how she better not make her laugh. The stepmother says that this child even now looks so beautiful that the eye can't take it away, and then asks Cedric if this is true. The Countess asks if they have heard of the famous artist because they say that he paints girls so well that people line up to get his portraits. Camilla asks how they like the idea of calling that artist and ordering a portrait for Selena. Cedric says that it's not a bad idea, but thinks that her face hasn't healed yet. And the lady claims that she is beautiful even like that, and then asks her daughter what she thinks about it. Selena stutters that it is a good idea, and the Countess turns to the butler and tells him to send an invitation to that artist and other famous masters too, and let him invite noble persons too. Selena's birthday is coming soon and thinks that before the debut, it is worth somehow announcing her first and at least making friends there. Uncle states that the situation is not very favorable and then asks if that is so. He says that the income from the farms will dry up next month, and then asks how she can afford the banquet. The Countess claims that then Selena will not be able to get used to society and will not make friends, and then asks if this is what he wants. The man asks if he said such a thing, and the Countess says that he doesn't understand anything and then leaves. At this time, the main character thought that when the three of them are in the same room, something like this always happens, and she thinks that it is worth taking note of this. When the girl was alone, she became interested in what Barkhale was doing now, because she was worried that he had gone to their temple. The lady decides to just go and check if everything is okay there. Selena asks William if he said that the guy is not on duty today, and thinks that he is probably resting somewhere or in his room. The main character suggests preparing the carriage as soon as possible, and William says that he will go with her. The lady objects and claims that she will go herself because Mother was in a bad mood today, and she does not know what her stepmother can do with her uncle, and therefore can only count on him in this matter. William says that he understands her and suggests that she be careful. Selena looked at the house and thought that it was very nice, and then knocked on the door and realized that there was no one there, but the door was not locked. The lady entered the house and was surprised because it was very clean. She became curious where the guy went because she knows that he is not one of those who like to walk. Barkhale came out of another room without a shirt, and when the girl saw him half naked, she ran up to him and asked why there were so many wounds on his body and what happened. And the man asks how she knew he was here. The lady replies that William told her. The girl took out a magic crystal, and the guy asks if she is close to him. The lady says that he is her knight, and he asks if that means that she also treated him. Barkhale says that he is sure that this knight is in love with her. Hearing this girl was surprised, and he says that if he wants, he can finish him off. Hearing this, the main character thought that she had a feeling that he wanted it more. He took her stone and said that it no longer works. Selena wondered how he knew and then asked if he had divine power. The guy wonders what she is talking about and suddenly sees the light from this stone. The main character understands that this cannot be a mistake since all abilities can be unsurpassed. The lady asks him not to tell anyone under any circumstances. He asks why. The girl says he should just keep his mouth shut. Barkhale wonders if he looks like a monster in her eyes. She assures him that she is too afraid that he will be kidnapped in the temple because if they find out about his power, they will certainly make him a priest. The guy asks if he thinks she's not telling him something. She explains that he probably doesn't know that priests are vegetarians and thinks that's good because a person accustomed to meat won't be able to adapt to a different diet. Selena thought that she had let her guard down and needed to pull herself together and focus. Then she used the crystal to heal his scars and asked if he was okay. Barkhale says that he healed quickly and then says that she looks tired and asks if everything is okay with her. The guy says that as she already knows, he is not quite ordinary and he is different from others. Hearing this, the girl thought that he is not capable of dying or growing old. Selena thinks that it looked like he was cured, but this man has the ability to self-destruct that goes far beyond human capabilities. And she knows that no matter how hard he tries, death will not take him into its arms. The main character understood that perhaps he considered himself superfluous here, and she thought that Selena was the only one who deserved pity in this novel. The lady tells the man that he is normal and then asks if he endured this because of her, and then suggests that from now on he try to express pain. Selena wiped her shoulders and said that everything was clean now and he thanked her. She asked if she could sleep at his place. Barkale asks in surprise if she wants to sleep. At this time, the girl thought that she does not know how to hint otherwise and says that it is already late. The guy claims that the sun is still high, and the lady says that she thinks it will be difficult for her to take the carriage again. The girl says that she wants to stay with him much longer because she thinks that he is also lonely being alone. At this time, Cedric looked at the bottle of poison and he remembered that after breakfast with Camilla, Selena gave it to him. He asked if it was poison again, and also wondered if she found it in the Countess's bedroom. The niece said that it was an antidote and that he might need it soon. She said that he was the only one left of her family and therefore asked him to take care of himself because she believed that the Countess definitely had a plan. Selena claims that he may not believe her, but let him promise one thing, and if he feels sick or has a headache, he will definitely drink this medicine and then says that there is no more of this. Barkale, lying in bed, asks the girl when she will sleep. She asks why he falls asleep immediately after he lies down and then offers to put her to bed. The lady asks if he really wants to sleep. The guy replies that being near her makes him feel like he's becoming a real person. She asks why, and then claims that he's already a person. Barkale says that a monster who doesn't know where he came from wants to become an ordinary person. Closer to the morning, the girl does not understand why he has such heavy breathing, and thought that it cannot be because he hugged her from behind. She understands that he acted as if he could not even touch a woman, and assumes that he is about to suffocate. The guy looked at the girl in surprise, and she asked if he was already awake and asked if he could let her go in that case. Barkale quickly got out of bed and explains that it is a habit when he sleeps. She asks if he has a habit of hugging a girl while sleeping. The guy objects and says that it is not so, and then opens the door and the dog comes in. Selena asks if it is his dog and then hugs the animal. Barkale claims that she is the only one who slept next to him, and he swears to it. The girl asks in surprise why he swears. The man says he has a bad habit, and she says he doesn't snore and is calm while sleeping. The guy says he doesn't mean that, and then says he acts instinctively when he falls asleep or loses his mind. Selena asks what he is talking about and then suggests waiting and asks if he means that he can finish her off. The main character comes up to him from behind and then hugs him and says that she is okay and understands him, and no matter what kind of monster he is, she is sure that he will not harm her. When the guy cooked breakfast, the lady says that she won't eat that much until she's old. He objects and says that she should eat more, and the girl claims that it's too much. But since he cooked with soul, then of course she'll try. Barkale says it's a fig and cheese sandwich. It's high in calories and delicious. Then he says he doesn't know what she usually eats, but he prefers red meat mostly. The man says that she better try hard because she is so thin and looks like she is about to break. The lady wonders if that's why he hugged her so tightly. He offers her to eat while the sandwich is warm. When the girl takes a bite, she says it's tastier than she thought. Barkale asks when she finishes, will she return to the county? The lady says that she will not return because she stayed there overnight on a whim, and then says that she needs to go to the temple. Selena turns to the priest Franz, and he asks in surprise why she came so early, and also asks if she wants to pray. The lady says that she has a request for the priest because she believes that only he can help with this. Franz asks what he should do. Selena asks if he is a good liar. The priest says that he was praying for the endless prosperity and bright future of the Crawford family at the request of Lady Selena. And at that moment, a majestic voice reached him, and he did not notice how dawn came. Selena claims that this is great because she thinks that is all he needs to do. In order to return to the residence, Countess Selena persuaded Franz to commit a shameless lie that he had dreamed of since childhood. Since his youth, he had dreamed of committing such a shameless act and this lie. Franz offers the girl to watch because he is shaking all over, and the lady thought that he is one cutie. The guard screams and tells the carriage to stop because the gentleman will not be able to receive guests today. He orders them to leave because even carriages are not allowed to leave the temple today. The priest asks the lady what to do. She replies that she doesn't know because usually everything is different, and then says that something shook there. The guards ask the lady to forgive them for being rude and then say they have big problems. The man says their master was found unconscious this morning. Hearing this, the girl fainted and Franz quickly urged her to be carried into the building. All this time, the priest was with the lady. He sat next to her bed, and when she woke up, he said that she looked so weak and fragile. Hearing this, the main character thought that he was worried and she was just pretending. He says that he will pray for her and suggests that she quickly gain strength and wake up. When the girl opened her eyes, he said that it was a relief and then asked whether to invite a doctor. Selena assures him that he has nothing to worry about because she always does this. He asks, screaming, if she always does this. The girl says that it is already her job to faint. He says that there are rumors that the Countess mocked her by not giving her even a piece of bread, and then asks if it is true. Franz says that he tried to distract her, but he thinks that she is still weak, and thinks that no one cares about Lady Selena's condition since no one even came to visit her. And he does not think that everyone is worried about Lord Crawford. The priest says that his face was blue, and he saw it only briefly, but it looked terrible. And then he says that he once saw a man who died from poison and thinks that their faces are similar. Selena invites him to go, and he asks in surprise if she is okay. The girl asks if he sees the grass planted there. He says there is too much and then asks what kind she is talking about. Selena explains that the garden flowers are the ones with the big leaves at the end, and the ones with the fruit, and then asks if by any chance he knows how this plant is used. The priest says he's seen it somewhere before but can't remember. She asks if it's used for poison. Franz says that he saw it before in a book about poisonous plants, and it seems it was called Widow's Tears, and then asks in surprise why it grows here, and if she really grows it. The main character explains that it was not she but her stepmother who imprisoned him. The man says that as far as he knows, growing poisonous plants is prohibited by law in this country, and therefore he finds it strange that it grows here without any problem. The lady claims that this poisonous plant is rare, and they say that it was illegally taken from the Maple Duchy. But not everyone even knows its meaning, so they just planted it as the stepmother ordered. Franz asks Madame Selena if she plans to put the Countess in prison for smuggling poisonous plants and illegally making poison. She replies that it would be nice, but not that she wants to, and she will not put it on trial. The girl reports that when the widow wakes up, the priest may give false testimony and then reports that her uncle, who ate poisonous plants, was able to save his life thanks to the antidote. And the person who gave him the antidote is the priest Franz, who is well versed in plants. Selena insists that this is what he should do. The priest is surprised and says that it sounds so poetic, then says that he is nervous and says that in any case it is only possible if Lord Crawford gets up. The lady suggests not to worry about it as she has prepared an antidote for her uncle and says that he should wake up in a few days. The priest asks if she knew this was going to happen and then claims that she speaks as if she was prepared for it. The main character insists that she didn't know and then asks if she wouldn't have stopped it if she knew that it would happen like this, and if she wanted to ask the priest something more. Franz says that if he has an answer to this, he will certainly share it. She asks if he knows anything about divorce, since she knows that the temple is responsible for everything related to marriage. The Reverend says that there must be good reasons for this, and how the husband is responsible for the breakdown of the marriage. The girl asks in surprise if only adultery is taken into account. He says that it is. Selena says that if you get married while in a de facto marital relationship with another person, then she asks if the marriage is invalid. He replies that in fact, the standard of marriage is only accepted if she has children. The lady wonders if she has to prove that the Countess had a man she dated before she married her father. Franz screams and asks the lady what this means, and then claims that if she gets this plant, there is no guarantee that it will help eliminate the Countess. The girl suggests that she can show that she could not grow it herself and therefore believes that she needs a more thoughtful plan. Franz wonders if this will disgrace the honor of both families. And the main character reflects on the fact that this is not the first time she has exposed herself to attack, and says that of course her side can also suffer. Selena tells the priest that her half-brothers live in Varvara, and it was often told about a child who grew up on the battlefield and did not know his father. The main character understands that the story can be much different if we are talking about a patriot who made a great contribution and died tragically. After all, before meeting Joanna Chester, he had his first child. And when he married her, he had a second child, and Selena was born after them. The priest asks in surprise if she is not talking about the Countess's children. She replies that she is ashamed, but her father has other children for whom he bears no responsibility. The girl reports that during the brutal war, her traitor father gave birth to 2 sons, and now their patron takes care of them. But she is not even sure about the care. But after that, he married Camilla, who already had a child. Selena says she heard that if the parents' marriage is invalidated, the child can refuse the surname of the guilty spouse.